morning, everyone. I'm so happy to see you so numerous this morning. And I'm particularly pleased to open this 14 MMP meeting with you. So as I told you, we are really numerous. Proof that our meeting is really the place to be. Please, thank you. Our schedule is very tight. We have 6 opening remarks and then 20 statements. So it's a long day. So please, we must start on time, and I ask you to make short statement, maximum 10 minutes. So because our schedule is very tight this morning, I will give directly to Minister Adolfo Urso, Minister for Enterprises and Made in Italy, host country for the 14 IAF International Meeting for Minister and Member of Parliament. Mr. Minister, you have the floor.
Saluto tutti i partecipanti a questo importante incontro e rivolgo a voi il più caloroso benvenuto qui a Milano. Desidero altresì ringraziare la Federazione Astronautica Internazionale per l'invito a partecipare a questo 14° incontro internazionale dei ministri e membri del Parlamento. L'evento odierno è quello che da domani ci vedrà confrontarci con tutti gli attori interessati al dominio spaziale, dimostra la vitalità di questa città di Milano e dell'Italia in generale. L'Italia è da sempre leader globale nello spazio. Quest'anno ricorrono 60 anni dal lancio del primo satellite artificiale italiano e da allora il nostro Paese si è affermato sia a livello istituzionale che privato. Un ruolo che l'Italia ha svolto anche all'interno degli organismi multilaterali, sia in ambito Nazioni Unite e poi, ed aggiungo soprattutto, nell'Agenzia Spaziale Europea e nella Unione Europea. Nella ormai ben nota definizione di Space Economy, lo spazio si caratterizza come la presente e futura frontiera dello sviluppo economico. Opportunità impensabili fino a pochissimi anni fa diventano sfide per le telecomunicazioni con tecnologie quantistiche, la navigazione satellitare e la cybersicurezza. Un'esperienza che ci consente oggi di comprendere meglio i processi decisionali che spesso si collocano a metà strada tra il pubblico e il privato. Lo spazio ha infatti assunto sempre più i contorni non solo di un nuovo dominio, dopo quelli classici della terra, del mare e dell'aria, ma si è andato sempre più caratterizzando nei suoi aspetti politici e geopolitici. A metà degli anni 60 del secolo scorso, i paesi protagonisti della sfida spaziale decisero di cooperare con un approccio multilaterale basato sul principio dell'utilizzo come dello spazio extraatmosferico a beneficio dell'umanità intera. L'approccio multilaterale che aveva contraddistinto il primo mezzo secolo dell'avventura spaziale è stato però progressivamente sostituito da un approccio statuale, visto l'enorme potenziale economico e strategico che lo spazio era in grado di offrire. I singoli paesi hanno cioè preso coscienza delle opportunità offerte dalle attività connesse all'utilizzo delle orbite spaziali. Una consapevolezza che ha spostato il baricentro decisionale tra multilaterale, nazionale e all'interno di questo tra pubblico e privato. All'interno, infatti, di questo modello decisionale, i soggetti privati sembrerebbero esclusi da un ruolo effettivo, ma il passaggio da semplici fornitori, come avveniva nel caso delle missioni NASA, a protagonisti dell'accesso allo spazio con i propri vettori, vedi appunto il caso degli Stati Uniti, ha elevato i privati a protagonisti anche dei processi decisionali. Come soggetti pubblici dobbiamo quindi confrontarci con i privati sia per capirne le finalità ultime del loro ruolo, sia per regolamentarne le azioni. Lo spazio come priorità politica degli Stati e quindi per governi e parlamenti, nel caso italiano mi porta altresì a ricordare che le nostre scelte devono essere sintonizzati e tener conto delle scelte decise dagli organismi istituzionali dell'Agenzia Spaziale Europea e dell'Unione Europea. Scelte che si adeguano al corso molto veloce degli stimoli che arrivano dal settore spaziale. Stimoli che solo pochi anni fa riguardavano settori tradizionali dello sviluppo umano, agricoltura, transizione climatica, gestione del territorio ed altro, e che oggi riguardano sempre più l'economia, la sicurezza e l'innovazione tecnologica. Lasciando i temi della sicurezza militare ad altri contesti, vorrei soffermarmi sul concetto di sicurezza strategica che riguarda le cosiddette tecnologie abilitanti che vanno gestite in ambito politico attraverso percorsi di regolamentazione nazionali e multilaterali. Nei mesi scorsi abbiamo elaborato un apposito provvedimento legislativo italiano che per la prima volta regolamenta il settore spaziale nel nostro Paese e che ora ha l'attenzione del Parlamento. Esso contiene un insieme organico di norme coerenti con i trattati e gli accordi europei e internazionali, stabilisce la cornice di responsabilità dei privati accanto a quella già prevista per lo Stato. Un apposito settore di questa legge è dedicato all'adozione di un piano nazionale per la space economy che attraverso una solida partnership pubblico-privato possa facilitare una condivisione di obiettivi, ma anche di rischi sottesi al loro raggiungimento. La nostra legge darà all'ecosistema nazionale della space economy una guida sicura per raggiungere i migliori obiettivi e garantire un utilizzo dell'ambiente spaziale sostenibile ed utile allo sviluppo della scienza e della tecnologia. Grazie a tutti per l'attenzione, buon lavoro.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. I would like now to give the floor to Clay Moret, President, International Aeronautical Federation. Clay.
Thank you, Dominique, and good morning, everyone. Distinguished participants, ministers, honorables, excellencies, heads of space agencies, delegates, and experts. I welcome you this morning to the beautiful city of Milan in the magnificent Aula Consiliare. Am I saying it right? Okay, my Italian is not so good. Sorry. In the seat of the Lombardy Regional Council. For this is the 14th edition of our international meeting of ministers and members of parliament. It's an impressive venue. It adds a special touch to this gathering. And I think, Dominique, this is the largest gathering I've seen, at least in my couple of years here as president of the IAF. This is our 75th International Astronautical Congress, hosted here in Milan. We've been at this since the 1950s at the height of the Cold War. And it's important for you to be here and to be gathered to talk about the importance of space and space impact on Earth and society. I'd like to extend my heartfelt thank you to Minister Adolfo Urso and the Italian Minister of Enterprise and Made in Italy, as well as the Honorable Andrea Mascaretti, the head of the Italian Space Economy and the Parliamentary Intergroup, for their invaluable support in making this event possible here today. Their commitment to reaching out to our international stakeholders and conveying that this is the place to be today and is instrumental in bringing us all together. Their dedication has helped make this meeting to continue to grow and be successful, and so thank you very much. A special acknowledgement goes to Mr. Attilio Fontana, the president of the Lombardy region, who has made it possible to host the gathering here in the beautiful city of Milan. Especially, I want to thank Federico Romani, the president of the Council of Lombardy region, who's not only supported our gathering, but allowed us to use this room and this venue. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. The MMOP holds special significance for the IAF. It's one of the most important, shall I say, the first course of the IAC. It's really a critical side event that has grown in importance over time. as we hold this event every year around the world, sort of our Space Olympics, as you will, because we move this event every year to a new place, a new region of the world. Part of our goal is connecting all space people, so it's important for us to have the event both in major space players, but also in developing countries. We are witnessing increased attention from political figures each year as this continuous growth of the event. Now we're expecting over 10,000 people here in Milan for this event, which is our largest Congress ever. It continues to grow in importance. Representatives from both parliaments and governments are taking the stage side by side with experts from the space industry, from heads of agencies, to present a complete picture of the societal benefits for space and its impact in life here on Earth. I would also like to extend my deepest thanks to Dominique Tillmans. She is our special advisor for ministerial and parliamentary relations, and she is the driving force, and you can tell by her energy and direction, we're in very good hands. She knows what she's doing. She has been putting together this meeting for several years now, and watching it grow under her leadership. This warms my heart. You're doing a fantastic job, Dominique. Thank you. Look, space continues to be a key enabler in addressing global challenges, particularly the climate crisis. And I could say I have my brother and my son both live in Florida. You know, we've had amazing events there with 2 hurricanes within 2 weeks in the US. So it has a real impact on everyday life. Both of my family members had to escape Florida because of this incredible events with 18 feet of floodwaters coming into the Tampa Bay region. It's something dramatic, and it has a personal impact on billions of people who live in coastal regions, as well as people who live inland. The climate crisis affects all of us in terms of ecosystems, economies, and societies. Earth observation technology, by the way, Italy is a leader in many of these areas, and space solutions, provide critical data and monitoring for understanding climate change and helping us manage resources, water, energy, and agriculture. These tools are essential to support disaster management, enabling the prediction of extreme weather events and the evaluation of the damage and rapid response, and also space can provide rapid communications in the event of an outage in telecommunications capabilities. So to maximize these benefits, it's crucial to preserve and protect the outer space environment through international coordination and cooperation and the establishment of safety standards. These norms will ensure that space remains a sustainable resource, allowing for continued innovation and the development of new technologies that help ensure that future generations can study, protect, and manage Earth more effectively. I wish you all a very productive session today, enriching experience at this historic gathering, and I look forward to seeing the outcomes that will undoubtedly shape the future of space activities with national space agencies around the world. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your continued support of this event.
Thank you very much, Clay, also for your kind words. Now I give the floor to my co-chair, Andrea Mascaretti, Head Italian Space Economy Parliamentarian Intergroup, Italian Chamber of Deputies. So the floor is yours, Andrea.
Grazie, onorevoli ministri, membri del Parlamento e autorità, buongiorno, benvenuti a Milano. Desidero innanzitutto ringraziare la senatrice Dominique Tillmans e il presidente della Federazione Astronautica Internazionale Clay Mori per aver promosso questo incontro e Regione Lombardia e il presidente Attilio Fontana per l'ospitalità. È per me un grande onore come membro del Parlamento italiano e presidente dell'intergruppo parlamentare per la Space Economy dare il benvenuto a tutti voi insieme al ministro Rodolfo Urso, all'assessore regionale della Lombardia Guido Guidesi, al presidente del Consiglio regionale Federico Romani e partecipare ai lavori del 14° incontro internazionale dei ministri e dei membri del Parlamento della Federazione Astronautica Internazionale, in occasione della 75ª edizione del Congresso Astronautico Internazionale qui nella città di Milano. È la prima volta che a Milano, cuore pulsante dell'economia italiana, ospita questo prestigioso evento, anche se l'Italia ha già avuto l'onore di accogliere il congresso per ben 4 volte in passato. Oggi Milano, con la sua straordinaria combinazione di storia, innovazione e apertura internazionale, si presenta come una cornice ideale per un confronto internazionale sul futuro della nostra civiltà nello spazio. Tuttavia c'è un altro motivo per cui questa edizione del Congresso Astronautico Internazionale assume per noi un significato particolare. Quest'anno celebriamo infatti il 60° anniversario del lancio del San Marco 1, il primo satellite italiano, come ha già ricordato il ministro Urso. Nel 1964 il San Marco 1 non rappresentò solamente un importante traguardo tecnologico raggiunto, ma una dichiarazione di ambizione, di visione, di audacia. Con quella missione pionieristica l'Italia si è affermata come uno dei protagonisti della conquista dello spazio, aprendo la strada a una lunga tradizione di eccellenza nel settore spaziale che oggi ci vede fortemente coinvolti nelle attività con l'Agenzia Spaziale Europea, con l'Unione Europea, con la NASA e con le più importanti agenzie spaziali governative di tutto il mondo. Oggi, 60 anni dopo, con quello stesso spirito e con una rinnovata visione che tiene conto del grande potenziale nella nuova economia dello spazio, l'Italia può dare nuova prova concreta del suo impegno in questo settore, con i successi italiani nelle missioni spaziali nel 2024, dalla missione pubblico-privata che a gennaio ha portato 4 astronauti sulla Stazione Spaziale Internazionale, il cui pilota è stato il colonnello Villadei dell'Aeronautica Militare Italiana, al lancio di Vega, lo scorso settembre, lanciatore realizzato da un'impresa italiana. Oggi però siamo di fronte a sfide nuove che richiedono grandi risorse, grandi competenze e un sistema industriale fortemente dinamico dentro una visione strategica di lungo termine condivisa dall'ecosistema spaziale nazionale e internazionale. Siamo entrati nell'era della New Space Economy, un paradigma che non si limita più all'esplorazione spaziale, ma che si estende alla creazione di una vera e propria economia dello spazio, capace di generare valore per le nostre società. Le stazioni orbitali commerciali, terrestri e cislunari, o l'estrazione di risorse minerarie dagli asteroidi, ad esempio, non appartengono più a scenari futuristici che sembravano impossibili fino a pochi anni fa, ma sono ormai nell'agenda delle imprese private che già partecipano allo sfruttamento commerciale delle orbite basse. Con l'aumento delle missioni spaziali e lo sviluppo di grandi costellazioni private di satelliti composte da centinaia di unità, cresce il rischio di collisioni tra oggetti in orbita e di produzione di nuovi e pericolosi detriti spaziali, che potrebbero compromettere un accesso sicuro allo spazio e il corretto funzionamento dei sistemi satellitari su cui si basano numerose attività divenute oramai essenziali per la vita quotidiana, come le telecomunicazioni, la logistica, il monitoraggio ambientale e la sicurezza. Serve dunque che sia i singoli paesi sia la comunità internazionale definiscano nuove regole e nuove responsabilità per la partecipazione degli attori privati alle attività spaziali. In questa direzione il governo italiano, in anticipo sulla stessa Unione Europea, si è fatto carico di approvare una legge per lo spazio che definisce le regole di partecipazione delle aziende private a quelle attività che una volta erano esclusivo dominio delle agenzie governative. Infine, su impulso dell'intergruppo parlamentare per la Space Economy, il 12 settembre scorso, proprio qui, in questa città, a Milano, si sono tenuti gli Stati Generali della Space Economy italiana, una straordinaria occasione in cui tutte le forze dell'ecosistema nazionale si sono riunite per confrontarsi e prepararsi all'incontro con la comunità internazionale del Congresso Astronautico Internazionale. Un dialogo che ha già prodotto idee e sinergie cruciali per il futuro della comunità spaziale. Un futuro che non deve essere interpretato come una sfida individuale, ma come un'impresa collettiva dell'umanità. Il progresso tecnologico, scientifico ed economico richiede la collaborazione di tutti, agenzie spaziali, industrie, istituti di ricerca e governi. È solo lavorando insieme che potremo affrontare e superare le enormi sfide che ci attendono, in un'ottica di sostenibilità e di un uso più consapevole e responsabile dell'ambiente spaziale. Sono certo che la vostra permanenza a Milano, la mia città, interessante e piacevole, sarà per tutti voi una bella esperienza e auguro un buon lavoro al 75° Congresso Astronautico Internazionale nell'interesse delle future generazioni e di tutta l'umanità. Grazie.
Thank you, Andrea. And now I give the floor to Federico Romani, President of the Council of Lombardy region.
Welcome everyone, thank you for being here. It is an honor for us to host this meeting. I would like to express my pride as an Italian, as a Lombard, and as a president of the Regional Council for the IAF's choice of Palazzo Pirelli as the venue for their 14th international meeting. Palazzo Pirelli, which at 64 years old is a little younger than the IAF, is a symbol of the innovation, know-how, and courage of the Lombards. When it was designed by Gio Ponti, the Pirellone was a visionary building that anticipated the future, characteristics that also tell the story of the exploration of the fourth dimension, the space dimension, through the challenges of research, development, and technology. A path shared by IAF in over 70 years of activity. In the aerospace sector, Italy has a great past on which we must have the ability to build the future. To do this, we need technology, but above all, we need the ability to analyze and forecast resource and partnerships with private individuals that are essential to seize all the opportunities of the space economy. In recent years, there has been a major paradigm shift following the landing on the space economy market of entrepreneurs such as Elon Musk with SpaceX and Jeff Bezos with Blue Origin, whereas in the past it was national agencies that led space missions. Today, private individuals also have the resources and skills to promote space projects and space travel. This model must also be replicated, I think, in Italy. The first Italian framework law on space, approved by the Council of Ministers last June, goes in this direction, placing Italy at the forefront of the major global players and anticipating the European Union's intentions for a regulation for the sector. A law that aims to support the space economy industry, but also to manage its social and environmental impact. Today, the use of satellite data is becoming fundamental, for example, in agriculture, in transports, and in emergency management. Consolidating the aerospace capacity of our country and more generally of Europe and the West means creating a stable security framework for our democratic systems, because democracy, freedom, and peace are also defended by connecting all space people. In fact, connecting all space people, as the IAF motto says. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I give the floor to Guido Guidesi, Consigliere for Economic Development of the Lombardy region.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. You are in the most manufacturing region in Europe. We are very proud to be able to host such an important and international event. Space and the aerospace are a great opportunity for the technological development today, not only for the space sector, but also for many other sectors. Research and the connection among science, physics, and the business will be crucial to protect the planet through technological innovation. Space, therefore, is the best place for technological innovation and research. The research and study of space and its responsible use will allow us to look at the future with confidence, giving opportunities to new generation in many sectors. I wish you all good work and a pleasant stay in Milan and Lombardy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Consigliere. And now it's my turn. So here we are all politicians. Here we are all decision makers. We are all different. but we all have in common the governance, whether it's national, regional, or local, for the benefits of our communities. We are all different, but we all have in common to share the responsibility to address urgent issues related to the effect of climate change, the increasing population density, the growing urbanization. We are all different, but we have all in common to continuously adapt ourselves to ensure safe and sustainable conditions to our citizens. We are all different, but we have all in common to face the enormous impact of natural and man-made disasters, floods, forest fires, droughts, earthquakes, landslides, storm, coastal erosion, all universal challenges. We are all different, but we all have in common to support the cost of these disasters. In 2023 alone, the global cost was $115 billion worldwide, with an average annual increase of 5 to 7%. If we have a lot in common, there is one thing we don't have enough in common: the use of space solutions. You must be convinced that these solutions are invaluable allies and essential tools to manage our country, our regions, our cities, our rural regions, because they represent a reliable monitoring and forecasting instrument with many concrete solutions for energy, agriculture, forestry, water management, transport, maritime, health, risk and disaster management, climate change, etc. Because they easily integrate into our workflows and respond to specific national priorities, providing numerous benefits to end users, and ultimately to civil society at large. And because they support economic growth by creating new direct and indirect, highly skilled and qualified jobs, as well as technological advancements. Today, more than ever, space has become an essential ally for our economy, our security, our autonomy, and the well-being of society. Minister Adolfo Urso, dear Clay, President Federico Romani, and Consigliere Guido Guidesi, dear Andrea Mascaretti, thank you. Thank you for being here with us despite your extremely busy schedule. Your presence is very important for us. And there is also a personality that I want to highlight. It's Christian Feitinger, IAF Executive Director, for having understood the need to involve politicians at the highest level in this huge Congress. What a vision, what a vision. A warm thank you, Christian, and also to your fantastic team, and also a kind attention to Alexandra D'Argentio. Thank you very much for your work. And my sincere gratitude goes also to our space experts who will moderate our sessions: Teodoro Valente, Simonetta Celli, and Rodrigo da Costa. I conclude on our main goal and challenge. Our goal is to make space accessible, understandable, without technical jargon and any acronyms. Here we cite synergy, share experiences and good practices on space solutions. Here we motivate and inspire each other, addressing topics directly related to our major challenges and concerns. This meeting serves as a source of ideas for operational solutions, guiding and achieving national priorities. And this is the reason why our meeting is unique. Do you know that this is the only meeting all over the world, across continents, where ministers and parliamentarians together exchange views on their space strategy and relevant space solutions? this is the place to be. Our challenge is to make the MMOP meeting the place for all countries, not only developed countries, but also a powerful engine of prosperity for emerging countries. That's why our motto is, what is possible in your country might be possible in mine too. Dear Excellencies and colleagues, this is our MOP meeting, and now the floor is yours. Thank you. So, for the first session, the sustainability of space activity needs international coordination, and I give the floor to Teodoro Valente, President, Italian Space Agency. Teodoro, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning and welcome to Italy, in Milan, also on my side and on behalf of the Italian Space Agency. And welcome to this first session, which is the sustainability of space activities, which needs international cooperation. Why this session? Because it is crucial, as we wrote in the short notes, to preserve and protect the outer space environment. These goals requires international coordination and the establishment of standards to ensure safe practice in space in order to protect planet Earth for future generations. To introduce the session, which will end at 11 o'clock, I have prepared a short presentation to point out some relevant concepts and evidence also the Italian and the Italian Space Agency approach to the subject. So, first of all, we are all driven by our passion in space, and this is related to complexity of space. This is a sort of constant puzzle that keeps us engaged and learning, and space sustainability is an essential piece of this puzzle. Nowadays, we must deal with some very important issues. First of all, to summarize, satellite congestion. Think to commercial constellation, for example, new traffic management system. Space debris, that's another very important topic. Significant collision risk for active satellite as well as for human space flights. Use of resources, and in order to guarantee an equitable use of space resources, this should request a coordinated resource management. And last but not least, military aspects which affect space, since space is now considered as the fourth military domain. All these issues, they ask for fostering collaboration among nations for sustainable space activities. We do not start from zero, because we do have international guidelines. Let me recall the most important. 2010, the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, UN COPUS, established the working group on the long-term sustainability of outer space activities. In 2019, the same UN COPUS adopted a set of 21 consensus guidelines for ensuring the long-term sustainability. And what does it mean? It means that international cooperation is a pillar for space sustainability, and space sustainability is a global challenge addressed successfully only by a coordinated global approach. No state or corporation can ensure alone the safety and the sustainability of space activities. Italy recognized space sustainability as a pivotal topic in global science governance, and a topic which is central to the international agenda. Space sustainability objective is to preserve, as I said before, outer space, but for current and also for future generations, and for emerging countries and their rights to freedom to access space. UN Corpus LTS guidelines still represent today really a breakthrough in space diplomacy, and they are crucial voluntary instrument defining space sustainability and addressing policy, regulatory, operational, safety, scientific, technical, international cooperation, and capacity building aspects of space activities. The Policy Brief 7 from the United Nations Secretary General, which is part of the efforts of the so-called Our Common Agenda report, address 3 challenges associated with sustainability and capable of both creating stability or adding risk depending on our approach. One is space traffic coordination, the second one, space debris, the third one, space resources. We do have in Italy a very highly qualified expertise in all above these 3 categories, at institutional and also at private level. Also as one of the 4 signatory countries of the Artemis Accords, and we welcome efforts to bring multi-stakeholders engagement, also to underline space sustainability as an investment for business. We also play a very important role in the USSD partnership, which is in charge for fragmentation and re-entry servicing, and we are consolidating very fast all the capabilities to tackle these challenges posed by the space debris. The Italian Space Agency is fully committed and involved in these topics. We are developing technologies such, for example, the in-orbit servicing, which is a program aimed at refueling and repairing satellites. We have been the first European country to launch a demo program which has been funded under the National Resilience and Recovery Plan. In addition, we have put on the table an action related to Space Factory 4.0, which will deeply change satellite manufacturing methodologies. Then let me recall also the network of Fly-Eye telescope. One, the first, has been funded by the European Space Agency and will be installed in Sicily at Monte Mufara, but other 3 will be installed worldwide. And they will be a very important instrument. They are wide field telescope for the observation of space debris as well as for SSA issues. And we are also developing space debris laser lensing sensors for monitoring of the same from LEO and GEO, thus enhancing space safety and sustainability. So we express our commitment to upgrade the national framework, looking at the current efforts to introduce a national space law, as the Minister Adolfo also told us, and safeguard Article 6 obligation as a fundamental piece to the solution of the sustainability of space activities. We are implementing the space legislation to promote, among the other things, responsible and sustainable access to space, focusing also on safety, security, and sustainability. And the new law emphasizes the environmental sustainability, requiring that all space activities must undergo onto a comprehensive assessment of their environmental impact throughout the life cycle. So we aim to establish clear requirements for authorization to conduct space activities, prioritizing environmental responsibility and innovation, but without neglecting the industrial needs, because we do not want to affect the industrial competition. So tailored measures look into the industrial sectors. So our commitment to responsible space activities extend to international cooperation and is fully coherent with the long-term guidelines for sustainability of outer space activities, which I mentioned before. Don't forget all the actions that we are going to carry out, and they are all on the table in terms of bilateral and multilateral cooperation, as, for example, the Italian Space Agency commitment to capacity building, which includes state-of-the-art Earth observation programs, those by Cosmos SkyMed and Prisma mission, and in the future, the new constellation coming with the funding made available with, again, the National Recovery and Resilience Plan named IRIDE. We are implementing the Mattei Plan for African countries to contribute to the economical and social development of African countries, African continent, based on the principle that is very clear. We want to work with them, we don't want to work for them. Then we collaborate with ASEAN and G20 countries on space technology initiatives, showcasing leadership in space, sustainability, diplomacy, and capacity building. And last but not least, we are fully engaged in the Artemis Accords, which underscore the dedication to responsible space exploration and sustainable practices, fully in line with the global principle for space activities. So, the future, we want to play, through our action, a prominent role in shaping the bright future of space. Look into innovation, look into collaboration and commitment for the sustainability topics. Collaboration and coordination, they are mandatory if we want all to assure and work for a bright future of the space. Many tools are already available, others need to be refined or developed with a common shared international efforts, which, up to me, is the reason because we are all here today. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I have to ask you to come again on the stage. The president of the Council of the Lombardy region is with us, so we will make a last speech. Please come on the stage. Thank you. May I ask Minister Erkki Keldo, Minister of Economy, of Industry and Industry of the Republic of Estonia, to make its statement, or her statement. Present? Okay, you are very far. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Dear colleagues and esteemed guests, it is a pleasure to address you today at the start of the 75th International Astronautical Congress, during a vital session on how, through international cooperation, we can preserve and protect the outer space environment. It is essential to recognize our responsibilities and commitments to ensure that our actions in space contribute positively to the environment and to the global community. Firstly, Estonia is in the final processes of implementing a national space law. The Estonian space law framework is not merely a set of regulations, but a testament to our dedication to the sustainable use of outer space. Our space law provides a clear structure for the management and operation of space activities, emphasizing the importance of safety, environmental sustainability, and competence. Estonia, as a member of the European Union, European Space Agency, and the United Nations, aligns its space policies with international standards. We are committed to developing our space capabilities while ensuring compliance with international treaties, such as the Outer Space Treaty. This treaty underscores the principle that outer space is the provenance of all mankind. We are committed to this statement as we advance our technological capabilities. Through our space law, we aim to foster a space industry that supports research, innovation, and economic growth. By creating an environment conducive to collaboration among universities, private companies, and government institutions, we can harness the full potential of our nation's talent. In doing so, we are not only contributing to global knowledge, but also ensuring that Estonia plays a role in shaping the future of space utilization. As we explore and utilize space, it is our duty to ensure that we do so in a manner that respects and preserves the space environment. The impact of space activities on Earth's environment must be taken into account, and we must adopt practices that minimize our footprint. Through innovation and collaboration, Estonia aims to lead the way in developing sustainable practices for space exploration. This includes investing in new technologies that can help to reduce space debris and coordinate space traffic. Through the Zero Debris Charter, we are also fostering international cooperation in debris mitigation efforts. By sharing knowledge, technologies, and best practices, we can collectively address the challenges posed by space debris. By adhering to the Charter's principles, we can mitigate the risks associated with space debris and protect our orbital environment for the future missions. As we consider our role in the Artemis Accords, we are committed to promoting advancing scientific knowledge and fostering international partnerships. By aligning ourselves with these principles, we are not only enhancing our capabilities, but also contributing to a more collaborative and harmonious approach to space exploration. The framework sets principles for cooperation in space explorations and Estonia's engagement with the Artemis program. That represents an exciting opportunity for our nation to participate in a new era of lunar missions and beyond. In conclusion, as we navigate the complexities of space exploration, we must remain committed to responsible practices, environmental sustainability, and international cooperation. Estonia is prepared to take an active role in shaping the future of promoting sustainability in our activities. In close cooperation with each other, we can create a sustainable future for space utilization. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Erki. And now I give the floor to Minister Ahmad Belul Al-Falazi, Minister of Sports and Chairman of UAI Space Agency.
Thank you.
I don't know where you are. Why are you? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Push on the right.
Is that one?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Dear colleagues and friends, it's an honor to be here today with you among such accomplished individuals to address a challenge that concerns us all, the sustainability of space. This is not just a matter of technical expertise, it's a shared responsibility. As we witnessed the rapid expansion we saw through the presentation earlier on by Minister Teodoro Valente, there's around 10,000 active satellites as we speak today. This is projected to reach 60,000 by 2030. It becomes clear that the future of space requires thoughtful and coordinated action. With an estimated 130 million pieces of debris already circulating the Earth's orbit, the risk of collision and interference with critical systems is growing, underscoring the need for sustainable space practices. The UAE has always believed that space should remain a peaceful, accessible, and sustainable domain for the benefit of all humanity. But this vision cannot be achieved in isolation. International collaboration is essential for managing resources, for mitigating space debris, and shaping frameworks that will ensure the long-term viability of space exploration. Our own experience in space sector shows that international collaboration is key to advance the space missions and technologies. we have gained further expertise in the industry through knowledge transfer and exchange of experience. While we need innovative solutions and global collaboration to ensure sustainability of space, here on Earth, we need to effectively utilize the potential that advanced technologies in space exploration should do to uncover as a space tool for innovation on Earth. From breakthroughs in renewable energy inspired by space-based solar power to cutting-edge advancements in material science, the innovations born from space exploration are reshaping solutions for energy security, healthcare, and environmental sustainability. Towards our commitment to global space community and the shared priorities in science and technology, and in line with our efforts to advance the international science and technology priorities and global efforts to sustain space exploration, we continue to work with our partners globally in our upcoming space missions, such as the Emirates mission to the asteroid belt, the Artemis Lunar Gateway Airlock, and the Rashid Lunar Rover. In just 2 months, the UAE will host the second edition of Abu Dhabi Space Debate, which I invite everyone here to join us, where we will continue the critical conversations that began during the inaugural event. Together with global space leaders, we will address these challenges head-on, working towards a future where space is not only a frontier of opportunity, but also a realm of shared stewardship. I trust that today's discussions will yield a clear, actionable pathway that will drive international cooperation and create measurable impact, ensuring the sustainability of space, that space technologies continue to serve the needs of our planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amal, and thank you very much. And I give the floor now to Orsolaya Ferenc, Ministerial Commissioner for Space Research, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary. So, Ursula, the floor is yours.
Distinguished ministers, members of parliament, esteemed colleagues, it is a privilege to address you at this important 14th IAF International Meeting for Ministers and Members of Parliament. The discussion we have today on the sustainability of space activities are timely and crucial. The rapid advancements in space technology, the increasing presence of commercial actors, and the growing reliance on space systems by all sectors of society have created a need for stronger international coordination to ensure the sustainability use of outer space. As we are all aware, space is becoming more crowded. With more than 90 nations now active in space and thousands of satellites and other assets in orbit, the pressure on the space environment is greater than ever before. Space traffic management, space debris mitigation, and the sustainable use of space resources are not just technical challenges, but global responsibilities. They require coordinated international governance to ensure that the benefits of space activities are available to all humanity today and in the future. The issues we face are interconnected. Without effective space traffic management systems, space debris will continue to accumulate, posing a serious threat to both current and the future missions. These are not challenges that any one nation can address alone. They demand global solutions. Hungary firmly believes that international coordination is essential for the sustainability of space activities. This is not only about securing the long-term usability of orbits, but also about ensuring that outer space remains a domain of peaceful cooperation. Just as we work together on Earth to solve global challenges such as climate change and biodiversity loss, we must work together in space to ensure its sustainable use for generations to come. The role of multilateral platforms such as the UN COPUOS is more important than ever. Through this effort, the international community has made significant progress in developing guidelines and frameworks for the responsible use of space. However, we must go further. In the coming years, activities in space will continue to grow, driven by the ambitions of both established and emerging spacefaring nations, as well as the private sector. It is crucial that we create a regulatory environment and encourages innovation while safeguarding the space environment. This includes addressing the governance of space resources, ensuring equitable access to space for all nations, and promoting transparency in space activities. In this regard, Hungary remains committed to the principles enshrined in the Outer Space Treaty and other international agreements that emphasize the peaceful use of outer space. We support the development of internationally agreed rules and norms that enhance the safety, security, and sustainability of space activities. But we must also recognize that space is not immune to the geopolitical tensions that we see on Earth. As space becomes an increasingly contested domain, it is vital that we work together to prevent the militarization of space and avoid an arms race in this critical domain. The peaceful use of outer space must remain at the core of our efforts in international coordination. Lastly, I would like to stress the importance of engaging the younger generation in our discussions on space sustainability. The future of space belongs to them, and it is essential that we involve them in shaping policies and strategies that will ensure the sustainability of space activities for years to come. In closing, the sustainability of space activities cannot be achieved by any one nation acting alone. It requires a collective effort with all nations, space agencies, and private sector working together in a spirit of cooperation. Hungary stands ready to continue working with all of you to ensure the long-term sustainability of space for the benefit of all humankind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ursulia. And now I give the floor to Esther Basilia del Rio Gonzalez, economic speaker at the GPP Group Senate of Spain. So Esther, the floor is yours. Where are you? Ah, ok.
Buongiorno, voglio prima di tutto ringraziare l'organizzazione per l'invito a questo incontro in cui si parla sullo spazio, sul divenire e di ciò che collegherà la Terra con gli altri pianeti. And I believe that we may or not see that we arrive as individuals to other planets. But what is sure is that we have to prepare the field to do it, and we have to do it in coordination internationally, but also we have to do it with sustainability and ethically. And that's what I'm going to talk today, because I think that if we want to be sustainable out of the space, we should first be sustainable down in the earth. And to do so, we should not only talk about the national strategy and aeronautical strategies that we are doing today, but also the regions. That's what I have chosen to speak about my own region in Spain, Castilla y León, which is a very large area, but depopulated, and could be used as an example on how we can make the outer space career more sustainable, considering the forces, but also the weakness of these areas. Actually, Castilla y León is well known because of Isabel of Castilla. You know that yesterday was higher than 500 years anniversary of the moment that Cristobal Colón touched America for the first time. And I believe that it's usually compared, that heat, to the heat of our first footstep on the moon. So we can use Castilla y León as an example of how promoting small rural areas, very depopulated areas, we can also help the space, the outer space career to be full of principles and ethics. And for do that, we could consider that Castilla and León is getting the 4% of the whole budget from the European funds for Spain in this aerospatial program. Considering that we don't build large systems integrators. So we only do upstream functions in our region, but we are still providing value for all the value chain, and what is also a good hit. I believe that our strategic flagship programs cover this whole value chain only with 60 companies devoted to different stages, and we are providing mainly help in cybersecurity and security and defense with our aeronautics, our drones, our mega constellations programs. To bring high technology and aerospace and space innovations to this area, which are less important due to the lack of this RSI system. I believe that what we have to focus is that they are offering many things, like we take advantage for that to promote these smart villages. That is, we find there lower prices, housing, land, good communications, more environmentally friendly areas. And by doing so, we are also creating innovation ecosystems, retaining young talent, and increasing economic growth at the same time that we fix population. And we achieve the Green Book goals and even transfer knowledge to less diverse areas. We should, in that way, focus, for instance, in the universities campuses. We have, for instance, in Castilla y León, the eldest university in Spain and Latin America. And I want to focus on that because if we talk about international coordination, we should take advantage of those areas that are not only strongly involved and related to Europe, but also to the Latin American space. And to do that, I want to make some demands here. I think it's good to always come and complain. And what we need is more international coordination to integrate these small depopulated areas. We need to impulse public-private collaboration, identify appropriate financial instruments that would be very different, and at the same time to work for new networks and platforms for smart specifications that are the ones that are going to allow this to build these ecosystems. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Esther. I see that you are in the schedule, so if we stay in the timing, we can make a break just after Vulgar, Zainab, and Pierre-Henriette. So I will give now the floor to Vulgar Behramon, who is Member of Parliament, Midi Mejlis National Assembly of Azerbaijan. So Vulgar, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Madam Chair, dear colleagues and friends. It's an honor for me to be here to address to you. In my intervention, I very briefly will address the role of the Parliament of Azerbaijan in enhancing space industry in Azerbaijan, and what role of the Parliament is playing for the international coordination, which is the key for protecting planet Earth for future generations. Today, we are here to deliver and develop on how to efficient collaboration with members of the Parliament and IAF on the importance of the legislative support on space activities. The establishment of the space industry in Azerbaijan in 2009 opened a new area in the advancement of the country's ICT sector. The state program for establishment and development of the space industry in Azerbaijan was approved by the president in 2009. It was a huge step in the direction of developing telecommunication and Earth observation satellites. At the same time, it presents another promising non-oil sector for the national economy. Since diversification of the economy is one of the key priorities for Azerbaijan, as Azerbaijan is oil and gas producer and exporter country. Azerbaijan national space program builds on the government's effort to support the development of the space industry and excellence in science. We focus on supporting innovation, education in technical subjects, technology transfer, promoting promising ideas and the marketing and closer cooperation between universities and industry. Satellite imagery and analysis has enabled our country, Azerbaijan, to determine house-to-house damage assessments. A single satellite image to cover 107,000 square miles and provides cheaper and timely data. Since activities for economic development through space opportunities are actively taking place in international air arena. Our Earth observation satellite, Azar Sky, which collecting data related to the distribution of the forest resources, natural disaster mitigation, estimation of crops, monitoring of weather, and the exploration of the natural resources. Following government policy, a national space program on space development played national space agency founded for further the country's capacity for the peaceful use of space technology. Being one of the few countries involved in the project, Azerbaijan has achieved positive results with the successful implementation of the Millennium Development Goals of the UN by our government in recent years. Azerbaijan has made significant progress in promoting and putting forward many initiatives within the framework of Millennium Development Goals. In particular, protecting human health, food safety, improve the environment, the dimension of poverty, raising education standards of the population, and stimulating gender equality. In my conclusion, I would also underline that international coordination is a key for protecting planet Earth for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vulgar. Dionysia Theodora is not with us. She's absent today, so I will give the floor to Zeynep Yildiz, Member of Parliament, Turkey. Zeynep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I might a little bit sabotage your break because my presentation will be a little bit long. I'm sorry for that. Firstly, I would like to express my pleasure in being in Italy, our Mediterranean neighbor, with whom we share strong historical ties. I extend my gratitude to the IAF and Italy for this exceptional organization. I'm truly pleased to gather here once again to discuss our common future to technological sustainability of our world and to explore how the common heritage of humankind, space, can be utilized in the most effective and peaceful manner. The scarcity of resources and the infinite nature of needs have long been fundamental economic realities. Thus, enhancing international cooperation is paramount for making our world more livable, especially in a landscape of limited technological and scientific resources. At this juncture, I would like to remind you of the conditions necessitating the Outer Space Treaty. During the Cold War, space became a domain where superpowers showcased their might. This breakthrough facilitated the emergence of the principle of using space for peaceful purposes. The spirit of the treaty embodies the protection of space of malevolent uses threatening global peace. The fundamental idea underpinning agreements for international cooperation in space is the establishment of security indeed. However, I believe that simply ensuring security is insufficient today. We must also revisit motivations to achieve sustainability as well. I would like to draw your attention to the concept of our common heritage of humankind. Like deep sea beds and Antarctica, space is a common heritage of humanity. Therefore, the optimal utilization of the legacy is our collective responsibility towards future generations. In this context, it becomes increasingly crucial to set aside commercial motivations or sharp international competitive tendencies in favor of mutual decisions. We observe that the notion of equality is gaining importance in all aspects of life, our familial relationships to social dynamic and international relations as well. Acknowledging equitable communication and adopting egalitarian approaches has become essential for effective dialogue regarding space. Consequently, abandoning asymmetric approaches in international cooperation for symmetric ones are now must for all of us. Dear colleagues, I would like to share some statistics how international cooperation enhances technological advancement significantly reduces costs. According to Small Satellite Forecasts 2022 report, the cost of a CUBE satellite ranges from $100,000 to $500,000. Accordingly, the ITU's report, The Economics of Satellite Communication, indicates that the cost of a communication satellite can be between $250 to $500 million. With launch costs also factored in, it is evident we are dealing with extraordinarily high investment costs, making collaboration not just advantageous but essential. Each moment we avoid cooperation results in some countries being deprived of these technologies or acquiring them at astronomical costs, thus exacerbating global income inequality. Given the natural disaster resulting from the climate change crisis, the sharing of satellite technologies for disaster monitoring is critical. In the realm of food security, promoting satellite technology in agricultural monitoring is vital for effective water resource management amid climate change. The migration crisis experienced in Europe in 2015 imposed significant financial burdens with estimated cost between 5 to 10 billion euros annually. Without measures to tackle global income equality, UN reports suggest that the climate change may displace up to 200 million people by 2050. Support should be provided to the nations facing migration, enabling access to satellite technologies for disaster monitoring and agricultural protection. If we do not share these technologies, we must recognize that the costs of migration will exceed the cost of collaboration. Though it may seem that individual countries bear these costs, the global budget is ultimately a shared responsibility, and we all bear the consequences of failing to ensure sustainability. I would like to share some examples illustrating how international collaborations can enable cost reductions. For instance, there are some projects made by NASA and ESA. For instance, Galileo project will cost approximately 10 billion if developed independently, but cost reduced around 6 or 7 billion when it's made together with collaboration and cooperation. For instance, International Space Station could exceed 150 billion if constructed independently, but shared cost estimated at about 50% reduced. Thus, the international collaboration helps us to preserve budget for everyone. The Turkish Space Agency has effectively leveraged Turkey's previous space experience, human resources, and international networks to rapidly establish collaborations. Since its inception, Turkish Space Agency has engaged with 20 countries, 5 international companies, and 7 organizations. It continues to explore suitable institutions for collaboration. Bilateral agreements have been signed with Ukraine, Hungary, and Kazakhstan, and discussions are ongoing with Japan, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, Russia, Indonesia, and China. Talks are also progress with US companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, Lockheed Martin, along with planned discussion with other nations regarding cooperation opportunities.
Zainab, it's already 7 minutes.
Okay. I thought that it will be 10 minutes, and I prepared my speech regarding 10 minutes. I'm sorry for that. I informed you at the beginning. Thank you. Our sub-meter resolution satellite, IMAGE, and our communication satellite, TürkSat 6A, are fruitful results of our long-standing international collaborations. Turkey is strengthening its international coordination through its national space program while creating new opportunities for younger generation in space over the past 7 years by organizing Technofest. Our Aerospace and Technology Festival is the largest aviation aerospace and technology festival in the world. In line with the United Nations principle of leaving no one behind, this Techno-Festival is also preparing young people from different parts of the world for international collaboration. I believe this is a significant step toward conveying that the world is in fact a large team. I invite your youth to attend Technofest as well. In conclusion, I would like to share a proverb, Turkish proverb. If we share, we will have more. If we do not share, we will perish. I extend my respectful greetings to you all and hope that our discussion will translate into concrete steps to enhance international cooperation when we return to our respective countries. I look forward to hosting you in Italia, the Pearl of Mediterranean, in 2026. Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much.
Very much, Zainab. Thank you. Now I give the floor to our last speaker for this session, Pierre Henriet, député de Vendée, Assemblée nationale de France.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Dear ministers and members of Parliament, I think it's very fitting that we start this week of celebration of the positive impact of space activities by a reflection on how fragile they also are. This access to space for all nations has benefit in almost every way, from navigation to telecommunication to agriculture, as well as climate change monitoring. It's an important common good, but one that as such needs protecting. That's why we need to promote a responsibility culture of space activities. Otherwise, the impact will end up impairing the access to space for everyone. The issue of space debris is unfortunately a clear example of this. The growing quantity of a major threat to the sustainability of space activities. As you know, in recent years, the number of satellites around the Earth has increased rapidly, in particular in low Earth orbits. Since space activities mechanically produce debris, even with the best efforts, they are now growing of themselves, currently multiplying in orbits that are already crowded. As a result, the risk of collisions with still functionally satellites increase steadily. This makes space activity more and more difficult over time. These threats are now being well identified across the world. In France specifically, home to the widely used launching station of Kourou, this issue is being tackled off several fronts. First, by putting regulation in place such laws and updating them regularly in order to involve all actors in sustainable space operations. Second, by participating in international and in particular European space surveillance of debris. And third, by promoting innovation solutions based on a vibrant space ecosystem. France has been at the forefront of legislation against the danger of space debris for some time now. Back in 2008, the French law on space operation implement rules to limit the increase of space debris in orbit. The law of 2008 has been updated in July 2024 after a large consulting with actors of sector, as well as nation and international regulators and institutions. It has been adapted to the concurrent space environment, while still allowing from a competition space industry and using sustainability of space activities. Let me take just an example of the rest aimed at tackling the recurrent number of constellations of short-term satellites. This time before the deorbiting after the end of life has been now specifically decreased so that it's more in line with the language of the mission. International cooperation is vital. I can take the form of supranational regulation. The European Commission is currently preparing a European space law which should introduce common regulation at European level. Better cooperating and coordination within Europe is a decisive step to ensure competitiveness as well as sustainability of the European space sector. However, let's not forget that a majority of satellites today are operated and launched outside of Europe. Space debris is a global issue and as such need international cooperation between all space nations if it's to be efficient dealt with. At European level, the Space Surveillance and Tracking Programme, SST, of the European Union is a good example of the important and efficient coordination. France fully participates in this program with radar like GRAVS and through the CNES anti-collision service CESAR. Startups in France are encouraging to also tackle this issue and help offer solutions for space sustainability. Some of them already stand out in the field of space surveillance. Look Up Space and Aldoria have raised significant funding to prove anti-collision service to satellite operators. Aldoria aims at building optical ground station to map the debris down to 7 centimeters and use its performance algorithmic to compute their orbits. It has been awarded a contract as part of the UESST commercial data provisioning call for tenders. Meanwhile, Look Up Space use radar to detect the debris and can prove its database of space objects to its clients. The service completes the anti-collision service of UESST, helping to foster private actors' involvement in space sustainability. As much as space surveillance matters, it's not enough to fully deal with the issue of space debris. It's also necessary to remove the debris already in orbit. According to ESA and NASA, between 5 and 10 bigger debris should be removed every year to stabilize the risk of collision. The list of the debris best to remove usually include either the biggest one or source of the most dangerous trajectory. French companies are at the forefront of innovation on activity space debris removal. For instance, a startup such as DARC aims at providing an interceptor which will be a mix between a missile and a rocket and launch it from a plane. It will capture the debris and then bring it back to the atmosphere where it will disintegrate. The sustainability of space activity should be a priority to all actors of the space sector. If they fail to prevent space debris from multiplying, it will catastrophically affect access to space. Innovation from startups can be a part of the solution, and national regulations should be generalized to limit the number of debris at the current space activities. However, this has to go hand in hand with an efficient international coordination in space surveillance, anti-collision warning, and global efforts of active debris removal. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre. Now I give the floor to our moderator, Teodoro Valente, for question and answer and the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dominique. Before coming to the conclusion, I would ask to the floor if there are any questions. Okay, thank you. That seems not the case. So let me conclude this session. Esteemed ministers, members of parliaments, representatives, dear colleagues, I think that to summarize the outcome of this session, let me say that we all recognize the absolute necessity to focus on sustainability for space, that is, for all space domains, also because it reflects on Earth activities. For today, tomorrow, and for the future generation, for spacefaring nations, and for emerging countries which are developing their national space plans, so that only an international, a global coordinated approach on the basis of shared and defined actions will allow us to have the success we want to achieve. The commitment that you today have underlined is a real and an effective push to continue this work for all humankind. I would say no more suitable way to substantially introduce the coming 75th International Astronautic Congress. The motto is responsible space for sustainability. So thank you to all of you for your presence, for here in Milan, for your contribution, and have a good session number 2. Thank you.
Okay, we will start the session 2, dedicated to climate change, space solutions, the key at all levels, national, regional, urban, and rural. So I will give the floor to Simonetta Kelly, Director of Earth Observation Programs and Head of ESRIN, the European Space Agency. So, Simonetta, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, dear Excellencies, dear Ministers, dear Members of Parliament, dear Dominique. Thank you for organizing this fantastic session with the IAC and at the occasion of the opening of the conference. It's now a tradition to meet with Members of Parliament and decision makers on key topics. And I think as this year, the conference is really focusing on resilience and everything that's related to environmental sustainability. This session on climate change, it's really one which I'm very happy to chair and moderate with you all. I was asked just to give you a brief introduction to the topic. Being the Director of Earth Observation at ESA, I'm happy to do so, and then listen to your feedback and your considerations and political guidance on this. So today, European Space Agency, as you know, it's an intergovernmental organization. We have 22 member states. We have a workforce of about 6,000 people between contractors from the European industry and the Canadian one, and European staff, and an annual budget of the order of 7 billion euros, which is not all what Europe is investing. It's about 12 euros per citizen in space, but it's complemented by national funds in terms of national European programs, but also European Union funds through the MFF. So about 15 billion spent annually by Europe collectively, 7 by ESA, and in that domain this year, in 2024, the sector of environment, climate and meteorology, which is the one I lead, it's about 30% of that budget. So 2.4 billion this year for 24, because of the relevance that our ministers give to this topic of environmental degradation, of climate challenges, climate action. So a very important domain in the remit of the overall activities of ESA. How do we connect to the policy domain, to the one that you represent, and to the challenges that we currently have? We work a lot in terms of supporting UN environmental conventions. We do that since 2002, since the Johannesburg Summit, when the environmental conventions were created. We work in support to UNFCCC, COP21 in Paris, as you know, in particular with all the climate variables work that we do, but not only. We support with the demonstration of the use of EO data, all what is related to Ramsar Convention, to the one on desertification, to the one on biodiversity. And since 2015, since the Societal Development Challenges goal were launched at the UN in New York at the General Assembly, we've been working to support all the 17 SDGs. In fact, most of those SDGs can be supported by space, and most of those can be supported by remote sensing technology. And there, I think, and it was already touched upon, at domains like environmental degradation, natural disaster management, water resource management, but also climate and food security. Last but not least, we are working at not just at the international dimension, and here I was asked to look at the international, regional, and local dimension. We work at regional dimension in support to the relevant EU legislation. We have a very close collaboration with DG Clima. We support the climate implementation legislations at European level. An example, the recent regulation on methane, where with remote sensing satellite, particularly some of the sentinels that we have built and launched, you can do a lot in terms of methane monitoring. We also work on soil strategy, forest degradation, restoration, and you'll see some examples here. So not a complete list, but a list that gives you the reference of the connection that we have at ESA with the policy dimension and the legislation dimension. I wanted to give you, as here we spoke a lot and we heard also Onorevole Mascheretti and the minister mentioning this new dimension of space, which is also an economic dimension of space. I wanted to show you here what was presented recently at the World Economic Forum in February, where basically some of the top level risks associated to the economic risk worldwide are linked to risks which are connected to our crisis, the climate crisis, to the change of critical Earth system, and to natural disasters. So you see here the relevance of everything that is happening in terms of climate crisis and in terms of environment, connecting to the economic world, and how the World Economic Forum presented that really gives you also the feeling in terms of what the space infrastructure, the space data we have available can support domains which are essential, also like the ones of resilience, the ones of food security, and all what is linked to economic dimensions. If we look at the connection to the political scene, I'd like just to mention in Europe 2 big events. One was the Sevilla event with many of the ministers here. I see here in the audience Anna Christmas, who was a Creed prayer at that Sevilla meeting. That was a meeting a year ago to give political guidance and really, I would say, strong messaging by European collective ministers in terms of the need to lift Europe ambition, but also the need to tackle climate action. And climate action with solutions which are tailored, coming from space to support the climate crisis and sustainability. And that strong political messaging is in fact the basis of what we are preparing in terms of next program proposals and next decision for minister. The Space Council, it was the European Union and the European Space Agency minister in May this year in Brussels, gave enhanced messaging in terms of the need to support Europe competitiveness worldwide, in terms of valorize the wealth of the data that we have. So again, I would say very strong political support for the domain of everything that's related to environment, I would say climate change, but sustainability, but also very concrete messaging in terms of actions that need to be put in place collectively by the countries. If we go to the satellites, and that's really what we're doing at the European Space Agency. We're a space agency, we build satellites. Today, I must say Europe is at the forefront in terms of the infrastructure available to support those climate challenges and environmental challenges. How? We have the big wealth of satellites in terms of operational satellites. Today, we currently have at the European Space Agency 15 satellites in operations. Those satellites are operated inter alia by the center which I lead in Frascati in Rome. So Italy having a very strong role in terms of positioning and in terms of operations of those missions, understanding the requirements of the users and getting a mission managing in place, but also with EUMETSAT, the meteorological mission, in fact, we do together with the European Meteorological Organization. We built the new series of the satellites, like the new cars. We've done that since '78 in meteorology. We launched the last meteorological new model, a new generation of meteorological mission called MTGI, with a lightning images instrument on board about a year and a half ago. The data are becoming operational in a few weeks. I was at EUMETSAT the day before yesterday, and this is a fantastic mission that will really improve weather forecasts, but also give a notion to everybody who needs to use it for transport, for civil aviation, all what is related to precision and meteorological forecasting. We also work with the European Commission hand in hand. Under the leadership of the Commission, we have the Copernicus program. This is 26 years of collective European success story. Today, we have 7 satellites up and running. We launched the first one in 2014. These satellites have radar instrument, optical instrument, hyperspectral altimetry instruments on board, but they do respond to policy requirements. And here, we are in a policy context. You can very well understand how you need tools and solutions to support the Arctic policy, to support the implementation of the common agriculture policy, to support the environmental one, but also to look at everything that's related, for example, with marine environment management. Those Sentinel satellites are really the pride of Europe. The data are free and open. They can be used by everybody, and that's why I want to say it here in this wider community, because everybody can exploit those data sets. And we have launched the last one a few weeks ago, Sentinel-2, an optical mission that looks at deforestation and agriculture, but also at methane. And we will launch the next one in a few weeks, Sentinel-1C, the third of that series, which is really devoted with radar to look at remote areas, Arctic and Antarctic, glass extension, but also desertification, but helps a lot on things like flooding or marine monitoring. So we have really a wealth of satellites. Many of you have seen the NO2 reduction during COVID, the images which are very self-speaking on the reduction of NO2 connected to the reduction of industrial activities and transport. Those images came from a satellite called Sentinel-5P, a precursor system that gives us daily images on the state of our planet. And then last but not least, we built science mission. And the last one we launched was in May. It's called EarthCare. It's a mission that looks at the role the cloud play in terms of filtering the radiation from the sun to the earth. So this is the fantastic remit of the programs we have. We have a new mission coming up. I know the Brazilians are here with us. We're just validating and preparing for this mission called Biomass that will look at forest extension, but not only the canopy of the forest, the quality of the vegetation. And we plan to launch it early next year. So you understand how Europe here, I think it's also a political message, is leading in terms of infrastructure, and we want to keep this leadership, this innovation dimension, this scientific value, and this political value at the forefront. We work on the climate variables. Those are the variables that are in the context of UNFCCC, over 50, the indicators that give us the state of our climate. It's sea level rise, is air quality, is deforestation, is permafrost, and you name it. And there we work collectively with all the space agencies of the world. I see the US partners here, but also the Japanese. We put together the data available from all the satellites that we have to support those climate variables with science work, and we're looking ahead at models and how those can evolve and how those can help to better manage our environment. Here are a few examples. The ice melting is a big one. You see the evolution of the magnitude of ice, which is relevant in terms of extension, but also in terms of thickness, in terms also of monitoring routes around that area. And you see the ice summer-free by 2050 in the Arctic Ocean. We have many relevant information about that region. I've been in Greenland last year. I see the Danish colleagues here, and there's a lot of research done, but a lot also of operational work done, which has economic relevance, for example, for ship routing, for geopolitical context monitoring, for resources monitoring and mapping. And those images are really just self-speaking. Of course, connected to ice melting, you have sea level rise, because part of the sea level rise, actually half of it, is apparently connected to the ice melting. The other half is connected to the temperature increase. The average is a trend, which is passing from 3.5 millimeters per year. This is not homogeneous, of course, all over the planet, towards 4.8 millimeters a year. So you can understand the impact of that trend, which is actually monitored with national French mission, US missions, and European ones. We have a satellite called Sentinel-6, Michael Freilich, that we built together with NASA, UMETS at the Commission in Europe. And it's the most advanced and sophisticated tool in terms of looking at sea level trends. And these trends are real. They can give us estimates of up to 1 meter sea level increase until the end of the century, with impact, of course, for island, for coast river areas. Another example is deforestation. Deforestation, this is an example from Brazil, but I want to say that you not only see deforestation, you also see reforestation. And this is something on which Brazil has been working very hard and very much with us together, for example. So the data that you get from the satellites are a really useful tool in terms of monitoring the overall evolution of a whole area. And today, as I said, we work locally with the Brazilian Space Agency to validate at the ground, on-site data that we get from satellites. At national level, the dimensions are many. Here is an example of a platform we developed with the Austrian Ministry of Climate. Austria having provided us requirements in terms of needs on how to best manage city, but also air quality, traffic over the Tyrol region. And we have created this GTIF, we call it. It's a demonstration platform that helps supports the decarbonization objective, helps supports and understanding the green areas in the cities, helps support and understanding the air quality, and even helps supports the Austrian to decide whether to put windmills according to some characteristic of a region. So you can go to a really local, regional level with this type of information integrated in support to citizen needs. Another example is the crop monitoring. Satellite data have been supporting for the last 3 decades the implementation of a common agriculture policy in Europe, not only in terms of agriculture statistic, classification of the crops, humidity of the terrain, estimate of the crops, but also implementation and monitoring of subsidies and monitoring of the legislation. And there you see really the relevance of an animation looking at the different type of crops. We use the classification of FAO, and we have a crop product worldwide that is really useful for everybody around the world in terms of assessing the relevance of the type of agriculture that you have. And last example, it's the World Settlement Footprint Connection is just a way that we have worked out with increased precision during the years from 2015 to last year of monitoring city extension. Mega cities is certainly a topic. How to best manage city is also a topic where you need to have different type of information on the population extent, areas built, water resources or discharge positioning, and many things. And we have quite an accuracy there. And I would like to welcome also to invite you to visit the exhibit that we have on all these topics at the Science Museum here in Milan. It's called My Planet from Space, Fragility and Beauty. And I'm sure you can have a few minutes maybe to go see it there. So with this, thanks a lot. I just tried to give you in a very few minutes a snapshot of the relevance of satellite and space in support of those challenges, which are those of the conference today, particularly climate and sustainability. There's much more to say, but happy to listen to you and get your really guidance and political feedback on this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Simonetta, for your relevant introduction. So now I give the floor to our minister and parliamentarians. The first one is Minister Dimitri Papastergiou, Minister of Digital Governance of Greece. I don't know where you are. Okay.
So, good morning to all of you, and thank you for the invitation. Greece is implementing an ambitious space program that includes the construction of 13 microsatellites of various types, covering applications from natural disaster monitoring to security and environmental protection. I would like to thank ESA and you, Simonetta, for the significant support and valuable technical assistance. We collaborate with a very fruitful manner towards establishing an innovative space ecosystem in Greece. We're super happy working with you. We believe that all national programs should find a framework for collaboration in order to strengthen European capacity and innovate globally. Greece is committed to enhancing its relationships with ESA and our European partners. We support the creation of a novel new space European constellation for Earth observation, similar with what we do with our investment in satellite telecommunications in IRIS². This initiative will allow for collective response and capacity to challenges such as climate change and security. We continue to invest in advanced technologies to develop our space program, which includes optical, thermal, and radar technologies, enhancing our ability to monitor and respond to natural disasters and other critical situations. We are also preparing to issue our national space strategy, which will reflect our goals towards space innovation, competitiveness, and sustainability. Among the various space projects that we are currently implementing, the governmental hub is a priority. It will be the framework for exploiting the satellite data. We will be able to collect, store, process, and distribute data and the value-added products across the government, the public sector, and not only. Of course, we fully support EU and ESA space programs like Copernicus that contributes in climate change observation, at environmental or natural disaster mapping and monitoring, along with other major programs like Galileo and GovSatcom. In particular, we invest in the construction of 3 Greek observations for space-to-Earth optical and quantum communications. This highlights our commitment to actively participate in the development of cutting-edge technologies. Greece is also investing in space situational awareness infrastructure with a tracking radar, which is currently developed in order to contribute to the European Space Surveillance and Tracking Programme. Finally, we invest in data centers, submarine cables, and artificial intelligence. We are implementing a high-performance computer called Daedalus. We are also preparing the implementation framework for Greek AI factories, which, among the others, will also exploit space satellite data. Again, thank you for the invitation. We are here for collaborations.
Great. Thank you very much, Dimitri. Now I give the floor to Anna Kritzmann, Aerospace Coordinator, Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action of Germany. Where are you, Anna? Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very happy to be here. And thank you so much, Simonetta, for all this overview about the ESA activities. I think it's a lot. And it's important because these are the challenges that we all face around climate change, but also around climate consequences, as we just have seen around the world. All the best also to Florida and the people there, where we see that satellites make it possible to see what's coming there. And I think a similar example is what we can see in Greece with the wildfires, where also space is very important to really detect them very in a very short time to be able to act, in fact. So space is definitely very relevant when it comes to climate, and that is why also the German government has a priority on the combination of space and climate action. That is also what our ministry is doing, with having together economic affairs and climate action in one ministry. And that is what I would like to put my focus on in my short speech now, because we think there we can use space and commercialization in space as really an enabler also for user opportunities that come from the different space sectors. So using the innovative ideas of also the smaller companies, the new space companies, bringing this in to the ecosystem that with all the public activities that we have. So that is really an opportunity we see, bringing these commercialization together with the public sector, and then we can use space services even cheaper than maybe before. So this is really an opportunity also for climate action. And that is why we have a new space strategy. We adopted this last year, so now we have 1 year under our new space strategy. By the way, we are also in the final development of our space security strategy, which might be also interesting for you to know. So then we will have 2 very relevant strategies for space activities in Germany, the general one and the one focused on security. And in our main space strategy, we have climate action, use of space data as one priority, as well as new space activities as another priority, and of course, international cooperation. And I think these are the 3 pillars that are very relevant. To give you an example how we want to push the new space sector is that we are building up a space innovation hub right now at our space agency, which will make it easier for startups to reach the agency, to reach the public side as a customer. So we think acting as an anchor customer, especially to young and new companies, is very important to bring them into the market and to have more competitiveness. And this is then key to really have a competitive space sector in total. So the Space Innovation Hub is there one example. And I think the broader one maybe is what we heard about Sevilla, also to look at other sectors, for example, the launcher sector and more competition in Europe, where we are preparing the European Launcher Challenge right now, which is also an example for more competition in space, which we think is very important. And on the climate side, we are really working on bringing all the data together. I mean, ESA is doing a great job in this already, of course, with Copernicus and everything, but we think we could try to get even further to really use this principle of fair data access, like findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable. I think these are very important principles also for space data. And I think there it's very good if all the different partners look where we can use these principles to make them available to as many players as possible to really make the best of all the space data. And then let me mention the international cooperation, which of course is very important. On the one side, of course, on the regulation framework. I mean, Germany also is now partner of the Artemis Accords, which is one important framework when it comes also to international regulation, but also, of course, very active in all the United Nations activities. And I think there it's also worth mentioning that space is part of the Pact of the Future of the United Nations, and that we have some relevant points there. And of course, I also like to mention the international cooperations, like, for example, the GRACE mission that we have together with our US partners, where we are preparing the 3rd generation right now, where we are measuring the ice or water on Earth and how this is changing. And of course, we have also other partners with France together, for example, on methane. So very important also to have this bilateral cooperation, I think, to really push concrete projects. So I think that is an overview where we are active, and I'm just very happy to have these many partners, and I think that's something for us all in future, that we don't underestimate what is coming there with climate change, and that we use the opportunities that space is providing for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And now I give the floor to Thomas Norvoll, State Secretary Minister of Trade, Industry and Fisheries of Norway. Where are you, Thomas? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. In Norway, space is not merely a nice-to-have thing. It is a necessity. The need for real societal and user needs has driven Norway's space sector forward. What started with a need for oil spill monitoring and satellite communications in the early 80s has developed into needs in all areas of our society, touching all aspects of our daily lives. We are a nation committed to becoming a low-emission society by 2050. And for us, satellite data is essential in tracking our progress and meeting international environmental obligations. Our responsibility extends beyond our borders. It extends to the Arctic, to the Antarctica, and to the world oceans. Space infrastructure is indispensable for monitoring these vast remote areas and ensuring effective communication, especially in the high north, something I know firsthand coming from northern Norway. But we cannot do this alone. Norway's space ambitions require global cooperation. Whether it is exploiting the EU's Copernicus program or contributing to international climate and environmental monitoring efforts, partnerships are our key to success. The rapid changes in the Arctic and our international commitments through the Paris Agreement and the Nature Pact highlight the need for continuous monitoring. In addition to cooperation through the United Nations and the EU, we also cooperate with countries all over the world to ensure safe and sustainable resource management. Take, for example, the Blue Justice Ocean Surveillance Program, where Norway shares cutting-edge satellite data with over 60 countries to combat fishery crime. This is a prime example on how space technology fosters international cooperation to solve global challenges. Additionally, through the International Climate and Forest Initiative, we have made high-resolution satellite data accessible to fight deforestation, a critical step in protecting the world's rainforests, which are vital to both the climate and biodiversity. Space technology also benefits established sectors. The Avinor Group, managing Norway's airports, uses satellite navigation to shorten flight routes, cutting fuel consumption, travel time, and emission. This demonstrates how space innovation drives efficiency and sustainability across sectors. Although much of the driving force behind this development is at state level or through international organizations, we must cooperate closely with research and with businesses. And that brings me to my final point. The launch of satellites from Andøya Spaceport, which is the result of state financing and private entrepreneurship, will mark a historic moment for Norway. It will not only enhance our capabilities, but also provide critical infrastructure for our European and NATO allies, paving the way for further advancements in satellite-based environmental monitoring and defense. Dear all, Norway's space efforts are deeply integrated to our domestic and foreign policy and to our daily life. We are committed to continuously pushing the frontiers of space technology through cooperation, innovation, and leadership, with the upcoming Andøya launches representing a bold step forward toward a sustainable and secure future. Thank you all for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Now I give the floor to Yanis Paiders, Deputy State Secretary, Ministry of Education and Science in Latvia. Yanis? Okay.
Dear colleagues, it is a pleasure to speak to you today on behalf of Latvia. First, I want to extend my gratitude to gratitude to the Italian Minister of Enterprises and Made in Italy, Mr. Adolfo Urso, and ASI President, Mr. Teodoro Valente, for inviting us to this international meeting to discuss these critical space-related matters. As highlighted in the presentation, speeches, and event materials, climate change is indeed the biggest global threat that we face in the 21st century, and Earth observation technologies and satellites play a crucial role in monitoring and understanding climate change. Today, I'd like to discuss Latvia's experience. We are both a member of the European Union and an associate member of the European Space Agency. This puts us in an active position to use space solutions nationally and internationally as well as in urban and rural environments. Like other EU nations, we are developing a national adaptation program aimed at achieving climate neutrality by 2050. While our current strategy does not explicitly and specifically focus on space solutions, it heavily emphasizes research and development activities that support climate resilience. One of our main challenges is creating synergies between space solutions and climate action initiatives. We often face hurdles like lack of a political sensitivity, limited knowledge, funding availability, and insufficient communication between ministries. However, we are actively working on these space solutions. Progress takes time, awareness, and learning to fully embrace Earth observation services across various sectors. As an ESA associate state since 2020, we're gradually building our expertise in using space solutions to address our social, economic, and environmental needs. Our partnership with ESA provides essential research and development support and enhances our understanding of climate science. Our mission right now is to drive cooperation with the governmental sector to ensure horizontal impact of space on national, so to say, Earth strategies. After all, satellite data is a valuable research for informed decision-making and digitalization, whereas technology transfer from space enables innovation on Earth. We have a right heritage and science culture that enables our successful cooperation with ESA for almost 10 years. This cooperation was a driver for climate-related innovation using satellite data. For example, we developed our excellence in forest monitoring. Be it water, bark, insect diseases, or windfalls, smart monitoring from space is Latvia's skill set. Land cover change, we have sent an ELISA on this. And as a country located far in the north, we don't grow rice in our country, but we do help international partners obtain sustainability certificates for rice fields. For this, we use the European Union's Copernicus program data. To better integrate these activities into our sectoral policies, we need space policies that contribute to our climate objectives and align space activities with the actual needs of our ministries and state services. I want to emphasize that developing space solutions requires time, patience, and continuous learning. We need to effectively address the space skill gap to fully harness the growing amount of Earth observation data and translate these into actionable products and services. Lastly, I invite all of you to join us for the Big Data from Space conference in Riga next year from 29th of September to the 3rd of October. It promises to be the largest downstream conference ever held in the Baltics. Climate, of course, will be one of the core topics of this event. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Yanis. And now I give the floor to Hans Andersen, member of the Folketing Parliament of Denmark. Where are you?
Yep, thank you.
Not so far. Not so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear ministers and member of parliaments, space solution to tackle the climate change is more relevant to us than ever before. We take space solutions for granted and make use of them in all aspects of our lives. The climate changes require new, innovative solutions and space technology, such as satellite services, which play a central role in providing the tools we need. The Danish space area really began in the 1990s with the Danish Ørsted satellites, which measures the Earth's magnetic field from space. The instrument developed in Denmark, where later the basic for the ESA mission Swan launched in 2013, and still measuring the magnetic field. As a Dane, I am, of course, especially interested in the climate and environment in Greenland and the Arctic in general. Satellites, our eyes in the sky, mean that we can monitor the effects of global warming and climate change on the ice cap, the glaciers, and the potential threat to global sea levels. In Denmark, we have significant research on space technology and application at the universities. At the technical universities of Denmark, at the DTU Space, we, for instance, have contributed to missions measuring the Earth's gravity field. DTU Space also use data from these missions to measure the melting of the Greenland inland ice shelf. DTU Space delivered the main instrument to the earlier mentioned missions for measuring the magnetic field. Global collaboration and diplomacy is vital in monitoring and sharing the information to meet the challenges facing us. Indeed, such monitoring and collaboration assist us in finding solutions to avoid potential environment problems. An area where space technology can make a significant impact is in the transport sector. We know that space-based infrastructure can play a critical role and can be used to optimize logistics and energy consumption in our transport sectors, in line with our ambition of reducing CO2 emissions. By combining data sharing infrastructures with advanced algorithms and accurate real-time positioning with satellites, we can have the potential to reduce road freight emission by 20 to 30%. In Denmark, we have a number of companies involved in utilizing and developing the advantages we now have in space-based technology as GomSpace, Therma, Space Inventor, and Orbix. And we have satellites have already proved their value by making a concrete difference in addressing climate change, especially when we concern agriculture. One current example is satellite-based Earth observation, which are used to map soil nutrient content, water retention, or its ability to store carbon. This helps us identify the most sustainable low-lying soils that can sequester CO2. In fact, Denmark, we have decided, and that's new, we have decided to introduce a CO2 tax on agriculture, while at the same time establishing new low-lying soils and forest areas similar to almost 10% of Denmark's total area. Satellite data also help reduce cost in locating wind turbines, and it allows us to more precisely distinguish between different landscapes and identify the best location for wind farms, both on land and at sea. In fact, everyday space technology and satellite services contribute to making life on Earth better, greener, and more secure for both society in general and for mankind as a whole. So we all know that we need to eat, to manufacture goods, and to transport them around the world, and that space technology has the potential to be a key player. What was once thought to be just a means of improving global communication is now one of the cogs that keep the global wheels turning. So let us use this knowledge to create solutions that benefits our cities, rural areas, and indeed the entire planet. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hans. And I give the floor now to Javier Maroto, Javier Maroto, first Vice President, Space, Senate of Spain.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to participate in this international meeting with you all. The advances that space-based technology and Earth observation technology are providing us today are crucial. Well, these technologies are providing global and frequently very critical information for decision makers and allows them to make informed decisions to face today's challenges. One of the most important is fighting against climate change. In Spain, we have recently experienced this. In 2021, one of our islands suffered one of the most significant volcanic eruptions in recent decades. And this volcanic eruption in La Palma Island, one of the Canary Islands, was monitored and deeply studied through satellite data. It is just the latest example of why we support our Spanish space agency that much. This agency is nowadays providing useful products and services to all Spanish users, government, universities, industries, and the general public. But today, this technology is not enough without something of greater value, something bigger, the clear support of politicians who must make brave decisions. And this involvement of politicians and governments is only possible from conviction and from motivation. Most public officials, unfortunately not all, believe in the importance of developing active policies to fight climate change. We have enough conviction, but do we have enough motivation? Motivation in politics is often achieved through recognition and winning elections, of course. And we definitely must increase the knowledge and reward those politicians who work effectively against climate change. We know that 80% of Europeans are living in cities. Therefore, the involvement of mayors of European cities is fundamental to ensuring that citizens maintain a sustainable lifestyle, contributing to the fight against climate change. Urban areas are the source of many of today's environmental challenges. Local governments and authorities can provide the commitment and innovation needed to tackle and resolve many of these problems. Today, I want to acknowledge an example of good practices from which we all should learn: the creation of the European Green Capital Award by the European Commission. It was created in 2008. These awards recognize and reward local action towards transition to a greener, more sustainable, and so on, whatever related to climate change. And winning cities are the ones, including the citizens in this transition, improve the urban environment, combat pollution, and mitigate and prepare for more resilience to climate change. These awards increases local pride, but increases the motivation of the mayors as well. So they will be ready for implementing further sustainable policies in air quality, water management, biodiversity, green areas and sustainable land use, waste and circular economy, noise pollution, climate change mitigation, and climate change adaptation. Competition among cities in terms of sustainability is essential. Being able to learn from other similar cities is much easier if someone authorized points out which one is the best. The European Commission is the one pointing out in this occasion. Awarded mayors gain the necessary motivation, and those who have not yet been recognized are motivated to be acknowledged as a green capital soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take advantage of this forum to contribute to our common goal of working on the implementation of sustainability in our societies. I propose extending this kind of green capital award beyond cities and reward regions, countries, and mayors or other leaders who personally work on raising environmental awareness in the regions and countries. Only in this way will we achieve greater environmental and sustainable awareness. There is a saying that states, "We are what we see," and only if our communities see that all administrations and social and political agents, without exception, are committed to the values of sustainability, will we achieve our goal. So let's make space technology and politics work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Javier. Now I give the floor to Lene Westgard Aule, member of Storting Parliament of Norway. Where are you?
There we go. Thank you. Dear members of parliament, ministers, esteemed space enthusiasts, it's really a true pleasure to be here in Milan today at this prestigious event, surrounded by such a distinguished group of fellow politicians. And it's equally exciting to meet people and colleagues with a shared passion for exploring new opportunities in space. And I think we're all driven by the same mission, to figure out how space can help us become better guardians of our blue planet. Simonetta Celli, thank you so much for a really interesting and important presentation. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I think we all can agree that satellites and space is absolutely indispensable when it comes to monitoring and understanding climate change, particularly up in the northern regions. Where I come from, Norway, this is especially relevant. All things are changing in Norway fast, very fast. Space and Norway, as you all know, is both a coastal and an Arctic nation. Nearly half of Norway lies north of the Arctic Circle, and our territory in the Arctic, well, it's actually the size of Spain, France, Germany combined together. So we have quite a lot of chilly waters to keep an eye on. In many ways, the Arctic and space is actually a perfect pairing because the Arctic, it's huge, it's a vast area, it's sparsely populated, but some of the harshest weather you can imagine in the world. And that makes satellites an invaluable tool for monitoring developments and activities in the region, because as you probably understand, you don't want to be up there with a clipboard taking notes of everything all the time. You need the satellites. It's cold. That's also why Andøya spaceport in the northern Norway is ideal for launching satellites. It's perched right on the coast. It's a very dramatic area of Norway. You should go see it. It's just north of the Arctic Circle, and we're now eagerly awaiting our first launch. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to happen in a few weeks. Hopefully the rockets don't freeze up there. It's still, the weather's still pretty nice. But if you're looking for another remarkable place that's space-related, you should look to Svalbard. I don't know if all of you know where that is, but it's a group of islands up north, about 600 miles from the North Pole. So it's about up with the northern part of Greenland. It's not only a place you should have on your bucket list and you should go on vacation, but it's also a home to the world's best positioned satellite ground station. So thanks to its very extreme northern location, Svalbard satellite station provides support for all the daily orbits of polar satellites. Not to mention the station itself is actually a really interesting place to visit. It's complete with 160 antennas, keeping a watchful eye on the skies. And the views from up there are amazing. So Google it, you need to go. And why is this relevant? Why do I keep talking about Svalbard? It's relevant because when it comes to climate change, monitoring the Arctic is crucial because temperatures up there are rising four times the global average. It's causing dramatic changes and it's taking lives. But, my dear friends, these changes also have global ripple effects. So what's happening in Norway is happening to you. Melting sea ice, shrinking glaciers, thawing permafrost, it's dramatically changing the Arctic region and will dramatically change the world. A warmer Arctic Ocean, it also plays tricks with the global weather patterns. As you've seen, we've all been following the damages of both Helen and Milton in Florida the last weeks. The warmer ocean, it doesn't only affect areas like Florida or the Caribbean. It also influences the polar jet stream. I'm sure some of you know this, but it sends the infamous polar vortex south. That means that some areas of the world, like for example the US and Canada, get freezing winters and they get a little taste of what the Arctic is like. So that's why the international cooperation is really essential. We need the regional data, we need it to be shared, and we need it placed in a global context. Europe has been leading the way with initiatives like Copernicus, that some of you have already mentioned. And a recent highlight is the launch of the Arctic weather satellite now in August, and we hope it's going to provide valuable insights into Arctic weather patterns and also hopefully help you guys. So satellites have revolutionized how we collect data. It has revolutionized our ability to transform the data and do it actionable so that we actually can do something as politicians and not just read the data. And I think it's truly limitless. And space, as it turns out, is a pretty big place to work with, so we still have some work to do. In Norway, we're starting to recognize the importance of space more than ever before. We expect to see a new space law introduced in our parliament soon, and I think it's going to be a major milestone for us. We're also seeing a growing number of space-related startups in Norway, people making money of space, which is good, and we also see a clear political focus, cross-party lines, which is really good. We're learning to look up a little bit more, literally. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Don't Look Up, but you should see it. I think this is especially important as we approach a long and dark winter in Norway. The only thing we have to look forward to is the Northern Lights, so it's going to keep us gazing skyward. So thank you all for your time and attention, and thank you for keeping your heads in the clouds. That's where they belong when it comes to space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lena. And now I give the floor to Marius Melnicu, Secretary of Romanian Senate and member of the Communication, Information, Technology and Artificial Intelligence Committee, Senate of Romania.
Thank you, Dominic. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank our Italian host for their warm welcome and hospitality, and congratulate the organizers for facilitating the dialogue on space-related policies between parliamentaries, ministers, and all stakeholders. Of the Senate of Romania, the exercise of its legislative oversight, its budgetary functions attach utmost attention of the national development in the space sector. This is one of my country's strategic priorities, of the core of our research, innovation, and smart specialization agenda, and a major driver of technological progress in many sectors. We participate actively in international cooperation on space activities, which has a key role in ensuring a safe, equitable, and sustainable use of space for the present and the future generation. Romania is part of the Outer Space Treaty and contributes to the elaboration of the long-term sustainability guidelines. At the same time, the first period in 2024-2025, Romania is holding the chairmanship of the Scientific and Technical Subcommittee with the UN Committee on the Peaceful Use of Outer Space. Our work in this format must be strengthened in line with rapidly evolving natural space activities. Ladies and gentlemen, Romania's space strategy, which is built around 3 S's: science and technology, services, and security, set objectives highly relevant for the climate action in areas such as environment and biodiversity protection, smart agriculture, meteorology, food security, and disaster management. Indeed, space technology provide crucial solutions for addressing climate change of every level: national, regional, urban, and rural. The ability to monitor, predict, and adapt to climate change is greatly enhanced by satellite-based data, imagery, and technologies. The space sector, both in Europe and globally, is undergoing a profound transformation with significant opportunities and challenges in relation to sustainability and promoting the green and climate-resilient future. Ladies and gentlemen, I will conclude by reiterating my country's commitment to promote space solutions for sustainable development globally. I also believe that exchange and cooperating among parliaments and space-related policies and legislation must be further developed. We in the Senate of Romania are looking forward to future opportunities to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marius. No, we have a bad news. Maria Galindo Garza Delgado, who is the Secretary of Digital Policies Catalan, she has an accident. She has a problem with health. She's now at the hospital, so we wish her the best and we cross the fingers for her. But her speech was ready, her statement was ready. So it's Veronica Tercero Vargas, New Space Strategy of Catalonia, who will take the floor in place. You are there upstairs instead of Veronica. Thank you for replacing her.
Thank you very much. Voglio ringraziare questa grande opportunità di collegare con tutti i decisori presenti in questa stanza. Grazie IAF and Dominique per l'organizzazione. And thank you, Simonetta, for such an interesting presentation. We face common problems, and the international collaboration can lead us to effective and sustainable solutions. Catalonia is a territory of 32,000 square kilometers at the northeast of Spain, and very, very diverse. At the third report about climate change in Catalonia in 2017, the climate trend indicators shown us the need for an urgent action. While mean trends could not seem so alarming, when looking into details in some specific locations, the sense of urgency appeared. At that time, it was stated that in order to have true knowledge of the climate of the past and to prepare for the future, it was necessary to have extensive, high-quality climate records, and above all, that has the appropriate geographical density. The latter factor is essential in a diverse territory. For example, in April 2022, the United Nations appointed Delta del Ebro in the south of Catalonia as first pilot territory to measure resilience to global challenges. And for sure, at this point, space data can definitely help in the needed observation. On October 2020, the Catalan government approved the new space strategy of Catalonia to promote the innovative space ecosystem in the region, with solutions can bring great opportunities and improvement to our citizens' lives. This strategy is being deployed in collaboration with the Institute of Space Studies of Catalonia, IAC, the I2CAT Foundation, and the Cartographical and Geological Institute of Catalonia. Let me point out at this moment some of our lines of work to face climate change. We launched Earth observation and IoT communications missions together with the ecosystem and with the aim of sharing their data to speed up the time to market of applications development and contribute to the global challenges. We implement at the administration on the other side use cases together with the industry to showcase how space data and solutions can help us managing our territory. While at the same time, we try to help the ecosystem tracking these solutions into the market. As a first example of these success cases, let me talk about water shortages. Despite the efforts conducted by the Catalan authorities to manage water resources sustainably, the region regularly faces severe water shortages. As innovative solution using Sentinel data is now being implemented by the Catalan Water Agency together with the Cartographical and Geological Institute of Catalonia. This technology can detect ground subsidence caused by aquifer exploitation, providing insights into groundwater extraction levels and aiding in sustainable, fair, and efficient water management. Ultimately, such initiative helps ensuring economic viability and social cohesion. A second example is related with climate change mitigation, concretely the monitoring and control of the condition of physical fire prevention tools of our fire department. A study has been carried out in an area designated by the fire department, and first of all, the fire department was using LiDAR images that were taken every 5 years. This was okay for giving them some trends and relying on the knowledge they were having about the locations with higher risk. But this is no more the case. Locations at risk are varying. We have seen that merging this LiDAR data with Sentinel-2 data, we can obtain specific indexes like the vegetation height models that enable to classify the morphology according to the height. We are in the way of including this new layer of information into the fire department solutions. There are other success use cases, but at this moment, I want to point out the great coordination we have with entities like URISAI and Nereus to leverage knowledge and work in this needed line of work. A part of use cases implementation, research in Earth observation, IoT communications, and positioning and navigation are key working lines in the strategy to contribute finding new innovative solutions using space data. And especially the focus in transfer is key. Example of this is the PhilipNet Spain at Barcelona, a project of the European Space Agency through the Spanish Space Agency, recently awarded to the consortium led by the Institute of Space Studies of Catalonia, which will focus in the next 6 years on research and market transfer of space solutions in the field of climate change and sustainability. All this shows our commitment to contribute in confronting climate change based on space technologies. Happy to share all of this with you and all your experiences. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Veronica, and our wishes of good recovery for Maria. So thank you very much. So we pass now directly to the third session and the last one, risk and disaster management, space solutions, a response in the disaster management cycle, helping decision makers. And I give the floor to Rodrigo da Costa, Executive Director, European Union Agency.
Thank you very much. Perfect. European Union Agency for the Space Program. I know the name is a bit long, but it is how it is. Ministers, members of Parliament, heads of agency, guests, thank you very much. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak in this forum. And I will bring to your attention a topic that is important and relevant, which is how space can help in risk and disaster management. Yes, it works. And before I mention that, just 2 words to say what we are doing in terms of space within the European Union Space Program, a very broad and large program that at USPA we implement in partnership with the European Commission, with the European Space Agency, and a number of other actors in member states, certainly public and private actors. And here we are working in the domains of satellite navigation, Earth observation, and now increasingly secure communications. And there are also other areas, space situational awareness being one of them, but also a lot of work being done on entrepreneurship and innovation, research and development, etc., etc. And this is relevant because it links, of course, to our mission as an agency, but it also relates to the work we are doing overall in the program, but also at USPA on support to management of disasters. And in order to be brief, let me just mention briefly what does space bring in a situation of disaster, and what does space bring to disaster management. And those can be natural disasters, can also be human-made disasters, and I'll have a couple of examples afterwards. Space brings basically 3 key factors. It brings availability, it brings resilience, it brings stability, and it brings accuracy. And very often, for those on the field, be it the civil protection forces, be it the police forces, fire brigades, etc., these elements are fundamental when we are a situation of an emergency or a disaster. And actually space data, space services can be used in the complete life cycle of disaster management. It all starts with the prevention and mitigation, how communities, governments can understand areas that are more prone or more risk to a certain type of natural disaster. It goes all the way then to the preparedness of the forces, preparedness of those that will intervene whenever a natural disaster takes place. The disaster itself, and here we are talking about response to disaster. For example, when we are in situations where search and rescue is necessary, where update data materials positioning is necessary for a civil protection body, for a fire brigade in a certain situation. And also afterwards, because after the disaster, there is the recovery, there is the post-disaster management, both immediately in the hours or days after, but also in the months and year after. And there it links again with the element of prevention and mitigation and avoidance of reoccurrence. I will not elaborate on all the examples. Certainly then you may also have a number of examples from the different countries where space is already being used like this today. This picture I find quite interesting because it shows the activation of one of the Copernicus services, the emergency management service, in 5 days. These are 5 days. It's between the 13th and the 18th of September this year. And you see here how it was activated in the EU member states. Many member states have activated this service. Certainly a vast majority related to the flooding, terrible and impressive flooding that occurred in Central Europe, also wildfires in the south. And these were the activations and the data that was passed then to the rescue organizations, to the fire brigades, to the civil protections, actionable data that then they use in particular missions. Now, this is a very particular picture. I mean, it's not like that we have 8 activations every 5 days. This was a peak. But there are quite some activations, and they happen, of course, with a certain regularity and whenever it is important and necessary. Linking back to what I said in the beginning, because I talked about the EU Space Program and how does the EU Space Program and the different components contribute to disaster management. And of course, you can look at the individual contributions segment by segment, element by element, how satellite navigation, Earth observation, secure communications can contribute to solutions of disaster management. But I prefer to look at it from a different perspective, and it is how they, in an integrated form, help response. And this is something that is quite relevant and quite important, because by bringing together up-to-date maps generated by Copernicus with precise positioning, generated by Galileo or EGNOS, depending on the situation, certainly we can further enhance the capability and the ability both to prevent, to mitigate, prevent and mitigate, to respond and to plan for disaster situations. This is something we have been doing and we have been pushing quite a lot. So it's a couple of examples of work we did with some of you on the different workshops that we have held on this topic, always talking to the actors that are on the field in these different areas. We've been in Greece, talking, by the way, not only about disaster management, also about maritime services. We've been in Cyprus, we've been in Hungary as well. We have been in Slovakia, Belgium, Portugal. These are some of the workshops and some of the examples of workshops that we did in partnership with EURISI on disaster management topics, also in partnership with the national authorities in each of these member states. By the way, it's not only workshops on disaster management, we did as well others on maritime service, governmental services there, in addition to Greece, also in Malta, Finland, just to cite few examples. And these are activities that are very important because this is to bring the word, this is to bring the message to the actor, to the operator that then is going to use this data and these services. And on all these workshops, for us, it is fundamental and crucial to talk to the user. So very happy, for example, to have had the civil protection bodies present there, also that can bring the return. How do they see the use of space data and services, and what can we change, or what should we change to make it even better, to make it even more efficient. I will conclude with another example. It's work that we did last year, something that we called Youth Space for Ukraine, where we have worked with the Ukrainian Red Cross on a number of demonstration and testing activities, if you want. We have demonstrated that not only through a collaboration with the Red Cross for help and for humanitarian aid close to the front line. We've also made a field demonstration, which we did in Poland last year. And this is also, by the way, another example on how to use space data, space services for distress, in this case, distress and humanitarian aid. Well, I close with this chart here. In all these reports, you will find more information if you're interested. And by the way, once again, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rodrigo. Now I give the floor to Waldemar Sługocki, Secretary of State and Chairman of the Polish Space Group, Ministry of Economic Development and Technology of Poland.
Hello. Yeah, let me take the floor on behalf of the whole Polish delegation. My name is Jakub Ryzenko. I'm a part of the delegation, but also I'm heading the Crisis Information Center, and I would like to exemplify the use of space in the recent floodings, which was just mentioned. But let me start from the statement on behalf of the delegation. The Polish space sector is growing rapidly, and the engagement in Earth observation and space exploration really demonstrate that we are ready for current and future challenges. One of the objectives of the Polish space strategy is to enhance the capacity of the space industry and scientific units to meet national needs and compete internationally. Thus, in last year, Poland significantly increased its involvement in ESA activities. Earth observation holds a special place in Poland's space activities, crucial for preserving the environment for future generations. It's vital for Poland to increase satellite data usage across administration, science, industry, and society. Poland, in cooperation with ESA, is working on the Kamila national satellite constellation, and this constellation will be compatible with another one, the national microglobe system developed by the Ministry of National Defense. To fully utilize satellite data, Poland is developing the National Satellite Information System. This is the activity being a part of the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. The system will form the foundation for monitoring Polish territory and increasing satellite data use. Satellite technology is essential not only for administrative efficiency and raising the quality of life, but also it is a key element of regional security and defense. The use of satellite data is particularly significant in crisis management, both in natural disasters and security-related situations. This is an area where Poland is gaining expertise, and crisis management based on space-enabled solutions is our response to modern challenges in protecting people, the environment, and infrastructure. Since last year, after the additional investments in ESA civil security from space program, Poland is working together with ESA on initiating the work of the civil security hub in Poland. But looking ahead, we must not forget about Poland's upcoming presidency of the European Union Council, which will take place in the first half of the next year. During this period, our priorities will include economic security and security policy in the context of space policy. We see tremendous potential in using machine learning and artificial intelligence to analyze Earth observation data. This could be a cornerstone of modern crisis management, environmental protection, and innovation-based economic development. We aspire for Poland to lead in shaping policies in these key areas. Poland is committed to strengthening international cooperation. Our actions, both within ESA and on the EU and international stage, demonstrate that the space sector is one of Poland's important priorities. And having said all these points, I would like now to exemplify how the space may indeed take a very important role in the process of disaster management. And unfortunately, as you know, the last month, exactly 1 month ago, the major flooding situation took place in Poland and also in neighboring countries, and satellites were a significant part of the effort. Unfortunately, the problem is with the, okay. The hub, which I have mentioned, is the idea of building the bridge between the world of civil protection and the space community. So for the space community, we are the civil protection guys. For the civil protection guys, we are the space guys. But this helps. This really makes the space innovation being part of the operational world. And the philosophy here is to build a know-how, to build all the soft things which we often forget. It is not only about technology, but about the ability of the users to really use the information, space information, for their operation. Secondly, we want to generate a portfolio of successes, and one of them we will see in a moment. And finally, we also want the industry to be more effective in last mile development of the space solution. So last month, exactly 1 month ago, on 12th of September, this was the alert level. The southern Poland was alerted, by the way, also building upon the satellite capabilities of used by meteorological forecasts, that there will be extremely heavy rainfall. Within 2 up to 3 days, we expected to have something like 60 to 70% of the annual average rain. So you can imagine how much it is in the mountain areas. And at that time, we decided, of course, we activated the Copernicus emergency service, but we decided it is not enough. And we tried to activate something which was foreseen for the hub to use next year. And we started together with one of the new space companies, IAC company, the largest radar constellation being used for monitoring of different things, in this case of floodings. We were able to provide every few hours a rapid update on the flooded area in Poland. And on the slides, you can see a dynamic as seen by the satellites. And then the water is removing. And this is exactly what the people needed. They needed to understand what is the situation on the ground. We have released 56 of this type of analysis, and we were providing them rapidly, directly to the users, not only to the top-level commanders, but also to the people in the field. We used one of the internet communicators, but this was the way to do it. We were really able to dynamically respond to the needs. We were directly to the key decisions makers. The information was provided, and very rapidly. We actually, I suppose, set a European record of providing information in 50 minutes from the satellite pass to the moment the information was on the screen of the commander in the field. And we have provided 147 quick view maps with, as I said, average of about 50 minutes. Not average, sorry, this was the record, this was the top. And what is important, we delivered it to a wide variety of different users, starting from the fire service, but also crisis management centers, water authorities, of course, the meteorological services, but also military. Another information which was needed, we are moving towards, through the cycle seen on the initial presentation from USPA, the different phases of the crisis management. Now we are talking about the assessment of the damage. This is the map which shows the scale, the maximum extent of water. So this is really the answer to the question, which areas were affected. We have been developing this throughout the flooding, and we released 9 times this product, growing and growing. More and more areas were unfortunately covered. But it is not enough. I'm showing this picture because you can see a comparison, how much you can have seen from the previous one and from this one. This is the answer why satellites are not enough. We need to integrate satellites with drones, with other sources of information. Then we can provide a real satellite-enabled but enriched by other sources situational picture. We also needed to use not only typical radar, well, the radar data, but also typical images like optical images. This helped us to build a complete understanding of the situation. We also used reconnaissance satellites. In this case, these are the civilian satellites, but support of the military reconnaissance. You can see the in the yellow the area of the city which has the traces of the flooding. In this case, the problem was we had a failure of the water dam, so enormous water flowed through the city immediately, and you can read it from the traces of it from the satellite images. This is also very important to assessment of the situation. We also gave just a typical maps of comparing the situation from before and afterwards. But satellites can also do more. They provide information for more advanced analysis. In this case, we had one of the cities covered in 90% by water. So what was the problem? How we can pump this water out? This was the question from the civil protection. And building upon the data from the satellites and hydrological analysis, we were able to provide direct recommendations. Pump water here, ensure that it will be naturally flowing out through in this direction and through this and these blocked places. This is the type of information space can really enable to provide. Finally, interesting case, we are talking about protecting the people also the next year, when after winter, we will have a winter, the spring floods. The rivers partially changed their path. Satellites can give you rapidly maps to initiate these activities, the establishment of temporary dams now to ensure that the population will be protected. So this is a last message, 4 points which are concluding. Firstly, the philosophy of having the entity which is really putting together the innovation and the operational works really work. This really gives a valuable input. Secondly, the rapidity of information is critical. And Copernicus constellation is doing a great thing. But with the modern new space constellations, we can do more. And we need to focus on moving this theoretical capability into very operational things as soon as possible. Thirdly, there is a need for coordinated use of Earth observation capabilities that are developed by different countries, particularly here in Europe. This is a potential which we should utilize for civil protection. And this coordination is a topic which will be underlined under the Polish presidency in the European Union next year. And we really hope that we can end up with a situation that all constellations which are now created could work as one, at least for the safety and security related situations. And finally, the drones are really something which should enhance satellite information. With that, I will thank you, hoping that this illustrates how useful the space can be, and building upon the decisions which can be taken at the political level, the new capabilities which are being created can really become even more important enhancement for the efficiency of using space in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this interesting statement. So I give the floor to the next speaker, Georgios Komodros, Permanent Secretary, Deputy Minister of Research, Innovation and Digital Policy of Cyprus. Where are you? Yes, Georgios.
Dear ministers, dear members of the parliament, dear executive director of USPA, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be joining you today on this very special occasion, and I would like to thank the organizers for the hospitality to the magnificent city of Milan. In recent years, Europe faced the consequences of several natural hazards, resulting in human and economic losses. Extreme weather events due to climate change will only increase in the future. The rapid growth in the use of space infrastructure and space applications has the potential to mitigate the impact of climate change and related hazards, from prevention and preparedness to response and recovery. The space sector is undergoing a rapid transformation due to an increasing demand for space-based services alongside the emergence of new space. The sector is evolving and growing in strategic importance, exemplified by increased private sector investments and interactions. Also, space is considered a vital driver of innovation, growth, and competitiveness, and a key enabler for accelerating the twin digital and green transition and advancing social prosperity. The huge amounts of information provided by Earth observation satellite systems can be used in a variety of areas, and one of these is the disaster risk management in order to improve decision-making in such occasions. Ladies and gentlemen, Determined to be part of the space development, Cyprus has taken a number of steps at policy, regulatory, and business level. Such steps include the formulation of the National Space Strategy and the development of the relevant national space law to authorize and supervise space activities. Enhancing our cooperation with the European Space Agency has been crucial to achieving our goals. In this context, we have increased our subscription over 3 million per year to accelerate the capacity building up of our industry, thus transitioning to associate membership as soon as possible. Cyprus' location in the southeast corner of EU, a region of prime interest of Eastern Mediterranean Sea, North Africa, West Asia, along with the weather pattern in Cyprus, which is ideal for RF and optical space communications, makes Cyprus an ideal choice. Aspiring to become a regional telecommunication hub and attracting considerable investments, Cyprus has created a growing satellite network, capitalizing on its geostrategic location. Actually, we have 4 satellites in operation using Cypriot assets and 2 satellites monitoring Earth stations, having links with satellites flying in over Asia, Africa, and Europe. We are also working towards the establishment of a satellite optical gateway critical for connecting Cyprus to the rest of the European QCI network. In addition, the USPAN decided to deploy 2 ground stations called RIMS in Cyprus for the operation of EU EGNOS system used to improve and performance of global navigation for aviation, maritime, and land-based users. In addition, 1 receiving Earth station, part of the search and rescue service of the EU Galileo system for detecting and locating emergency beacons, was deployed in Cyprus. Further to that, we place great emphasis on Earth observation, capitalizing on our climate and geographic location for national infrastructure and expertise, which allow us to develop innovative space technology services in the field of disaster risk management. To this context, the development of an Earth observation ground station in Cyprus, capable to receive real-time Earth observation data from Copernicus and other satellite constellations, is foreseen to operate in 2025. The reception of such real-time data will play a crucial role in major disaster events. Last but not least, the Eratosthenes, a Cypriot Center of Excellence, deploy the Natural Disaster Risk Assessment Platform, which provides identification of physical risks associated with numerous insured real estate assets. Actually, it provides identification of the vulnerability and risk index of natural catastrophes for different types of buildings and other assets, and also the general risk of physical and financial damages in wider coastal regions. This platform utilizes satellite data, SAR data, artificial intelligence, and probabilistic models and other multi-criterion decision analysis to provide an average risk for each event, like earthquake, landslide, flood, and fire. This information is very important and useful for the competent governmental departments such as civil defense, and for the private sector as well, like real estate companies and insurance companies, in the context of minimizing the impact of the risk for a potential disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, I truly believe that this meeting is a great opportunity to exchange knowledge and expertise and explore opportunities for collaboration so that together we can tackle in the most efficient way such disasters using space technologies and to create a common understanding among national and regional stakeholders of what satellite-based service can bring during the different phases of disaster risk management and to facilitate the use of these services from a national to a European level. By bridging the gap between policy, science, and practice, we can leverage our collective expertise to address pressing environmental issues that increase natural disasters and pave the way for a more resilient and sustainable future. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Georgios. And I give now the floor to Klaus Peter Wilsch, Chairman Aviation and Space Group of the Bundestag.
Thank you, Dominic. Welcome to all of you, and thanks to the IAF for the organization and our Italian friends for the hospitality. It's a great conference. Honorable ministers, members of parliament, esteemed colleagues and guests, we already heard about these increasing number of people around the world who are becoming dependent on humanitarian aid. Crisis, conflicts, natural disasters, and climate change are all major factors driving this shift. Humanitarian aid is often conducted in complex political environments with poor security situations and under intense time pressure. And as a result, aid organizations are increasingly turning to technological solutions to enhance the efficiency, sustainability, and effectiveness of their operations. And I'd like to present some German aerospace technologies for humanitarian aid to you. The German aerospace research and technology is executed by the German Aerospace Center, which not only contains our agency but also a huge engineering and research platform. It plays a crucial role in this context. By harnessing space and Earth observation technologies, it provides critical data and tools for humanitarian missions. One of the key resources is the DLR Center for Satellite-Based Crisis Information, ZKI. This is because Zentrum in German is written with the Z and not with the C, like in other languages. The ZKI, which delivers essential information for rapid responses in emergency situations. Through satellite data, ZKI creates customized maps that support disaster management and recovery. This data is vital for understanding the full scope of damage and guiding relief efforts. In addition to ZKI, Germany, through DLR and other entities, is a significant contributor to United Nations programs such as UN SPIDER, the space-based information for disaster management and emergency response, which improves access to space-derived data to prevent and manage disasters. The crucial aspect of the work in this field is the strengthening of local organizations and stakeholders, and by helping them develop emergency mapping capabilities, DLR ensures that these communities are better prepared for future crises. Collaborating closely with national entities like the Federal Agency for Technical Relief, THW, and International Search and Rescue Germany, ISAR, the German Aerospace Center brings its expertise in real-time mapping technologies to disaster zones. DLR's modular area camera system, MAX, for example, can map an area from the air within minutes, providing real-time data to inform rapid response efforts. To extend the impact of aerospace technologies, DLR has initiated several humanitarian technology programs. These initiatives are designed to adapt aerospace innovations for humanitarian applications, make them affordable, practical, and suited to the needs of aid organizations. Projects under this initiative are being led by interdisciplinary teams of scientists and engineers working closely with international aid agencies. DLR collaborates with key players such as the UN World Food Programme, Plan International, and ADRA, as well as German agencies like THW to develop these technologies. For short insights on that, there is the MEPA, which is a mobile plant cultivation unit designed to provide fresh food in crisis situations, such as refugee camps or areas impacted by floods or earthquakes. Developed by the Institute of Space Systems and Institute of Aerospace Medicine, MEPA builds on greenhouse technology originally designed for long-duration space missions. But in this case, it offers rapid and reusable systems for growing food in emergencies, providing the first harvest in just 4 to 6 weeks. Another key project is Data for Human, a service developed to offer critical data to humanitarian aid and personnel. This system provides up-to-date information derived from satellite. Data for Human enables aid agencies to make informed decisions about relief measures, such as assessing damage to infrastructure or predicting food shortages in vulnerable regions. By employing machine learning, DLR enhances the accuracy and speed of these assessments. The third innovative project is AHEAD, Autonomous Humanitarian Emergency Aid Devices, which focuses on using remote control all-terrain vehicles for disaster relief. In a demonstration in 2024, AHEAD showcased a semi-autonomous SHERP vehicle capable of navigating difficult terrains and water bodies to deliver aid to remote areas. By combining satellite-based Earth observation technologies with tele-robotic systems, AHEAD aims to reach disaster zones that are too dangerous and inaccessible for human responders. In cooperation with World Food Programme, the AHEAD project envisions a future where remotely controlled or autonomous vehicles are deployed to disaster areas, reducing the risk to aid workers and ensuring that vital supplies reach those in need. The integration of satellite imagery and AI-driven route planning makes these vehicles efficient tools for delivering humanitarian aid to otherwise unreachable locations. Finally, DLR's long-standing collaboration with World Food Programme was recently extended to 29, reflecting the ongoing commitment to leveraging space technologies for humanitarian purposes. During this renewed partnership, it will continue to develop innovative solutions such as AI-based famine prediction systems, FEMBRED, to fight hunger and provide timely, accurate information for disaster relief efforts. By combining expertise in spaceflight, Earth observation, and advanced robotics, Germany Aerospace Research is at the forefront of using cutting-edge technology to tackle global humanitarian challenges. The annual Humanitarian Technology Days hosted by DLR provide a platform for dialogue between scientists and aid workers and industry experts, fostering partnerships that aim to drive further innovations in humanitarian aid. These collaborations are helping to transform the way aid is delivered, making it more efficient, responsive, and equipped to meet the increasing demands of a world in crisis. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Klaus-Peter. We have a little surprise with one more senator. So it's Claudiu Marinel Muresan, chairman of the Communication, Information Technology and Artificial Intelligence Committee of Romania. He will be our last speaker.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation and for the honor. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate all of the speakers for the very interesting information presented here. It seems that I'm one of the last speakers, so I will be as synthetic I can. Dear ministers, dear member of the parliament, dear colleagues, we are living in a time of major climate changes with increasingly severe weather events impacting our lives. Fortunately, space solution offers tools that will have a huge impact, especially in the areas of risk and disaster management. As a chairman of the Committee for Communication, Information Technology and Artificial Intelligence in the Senate of Romania, I am very interested in these developments and I am looking forward to learning how they could benefit society. However, I believe we haven't reached yet the point where we are fully utilizing these solutions in the management of natural disasters. Dear ladies and gentlemen, in mid-September, the Boris cyclone struck Central Europe, bringing strong winds and heavy rainfall that caused massive flooding across Poland, Austria, Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia, and Romania. Many communities were affected, lives were lost, and significant materials damage occurred. In the case of Romanian authorities, were surprised, almost off guard. However, in the afterward, there was excellent mobilization, particularly during the response and recovery stages of a disaster management cycle. Just a few weeks after Boris cyclone, the Romanian media reported on another looming extreme weather event, the Ashley cyclone. This time, however, the authority was better prepared. On the day Ashley was expected, emergency alerts were sent out, advising the public to stay indoors and follow official updates. But the much anticipated cyclone was nothing more than a heavy autumn rain. Later, I read in the press that Ashley wasn't a cyclone. It had been exaggerated by the media and taken too seriously to the authorities. Together, we need to be strong, involved, and we need to be more focused on the international cooperation, bringing together resources and know-how for the development and fine-tuning of the space solution. We need to stimulate investment in measures to increase the effectiveness of early warning system, such as use of the state-art system operated by the highly trained personnel, and the dissemination of the tailored, reliable, clear, and actionable warnings through different channels to reach potentially effective individuals. Indeed, there are highly expectations that space solutions will bring about a real fundamental change in the disaster management cycle. While much has been achieved so far, we still have a long way to go. But I'm confident that the space solution could provide crucial information for the decision makers in the event of natural disaster. They could turn what was once considered to the mercy of God into more predictable and manageable situation. Thank you very much.
So we arrived now. Thank you very much for your speech. We appreciate. Thank you. We arrived to the hand. No, be reiterated. I will not make a speech, one more speech. I just want to say that I'm really impressed by your discipline, but that you respect the timing and everybody stay until the hand. That was very nice. No, this is a joke, but I'm really impressed by the number of statements we had today. Proof that the involvement of politicians is growing and growing, and this is an excellent news. And what is important too, I would like that you realize that it's that we have a place now. We have a place to discuss, to exchange, and also to know better each other. That this is very important. It's a place where politicians all over the world can meet and discuss. And it's also the place for every country, as I said, for countries involved or not yet in space. So I think we can say that this MMOP meeting responded once more to his goal and challenges. I would like to thank you very much. You were great. It was a really impressive MMOP meeting. I hope you can come also to Sydney. I know it's a little bit far, but anyway, I cross my fingers that many of us can go to Sydney next year. I would like to thank also Andrea, my co-chair. Thank you very much for being with us and to stay with us. Now, we have the lunch, and then after the lunch, we will have the press conference. Four of us respond positively to the invitation, but of course you are all welcome to this press conference at 2:30. It's here. It's just here, and then don't forget, of course, the cocktail and the dinner at 7 o'clock, and you have all the information here. And Monday, and you have the program. So thanks a lot, and I wish you a good appetite.